Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remus.
What is up? Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Andrew Paterson, soon to be joined by Connor Hrabchak. Remus off today. And, man, we have a lot to talk about. First off, how about our men's national team? 6-0 pumping of Qatar yesterday. They have the goal differential advantage on Switzerland, are at the top of the table, and will win Group B at the World Cup if they can get as much as a draw on Wednesday against the Swiss. We'll dive into that with Asa Rehman in Vancouver. Really looking forward to that. And then we're talking to Murat. Murat's got his latest piece up at The Athletic right now, and it is the pros and cons of trading one Connor Hrabchak, why Winnipeg should and should not trade Connor Hrabchak. So we're really looking forward to having Murat on the program and diving into that. We've got a little bit more from Darren Drager's media tour on the Hrabchak topic. He was on Overdrive yesterday. We'll have the latest on that. But the big story locally here today was the retirement of Winnipeg hockey legend Jonathan Toews, who officially announced the end to his soon-to-be Hall of Fame playing career after playing so long and winning 3 Stanley Cups with the Chicago Blackhawks, leaving the game for over 2 years due to the effects of long COVID, and then returning for a year in his hometown of the Winnipeg Jets. And with the Winnipeg Jets, obviously the season overall did not go the way that the hockey club wanted or Jonathan individually. But today was a bit of a day of celebration out at the Jonathan Toews Community Center, appropriately located. And we'll hear a little bit from JT, as well as some words from Mark Chipman on the end of the Toews era in the National Hockey League. So buckle up. We do have some CFL talk. We'll hit up Benny Amen, and we'll also have Lee Hacksaw Hamilton coming on the program. Listen, just before we bring in Connor Hrabchak, do want to thank the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at CoolBet. And don't forget, everyone, if you missed it earlier this week, the WST Poker Series is back. We've got 4 tourneys. The first one is next Tuesday, June 23rd. And you remember what we did was sending one of our poker guys out to Costa Rica. We have a trip for somebody to go to the CoolBet Open in Estonia for what will be an incredible week out there just across the bay or the sea from Finland to CoolBet HQ for just an unbelievable trip and an opportunity to play against some of the top poker players in the Nordic countries. The top 2 qualifiers from each of our 4 qualifier tournaments are going to go into the final. And the winner of the final will get that trip, and we'll be out hopefully making lots of money out in the CoolBet Open. So mark that down, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. The next one after that is Wednesday, July the 8th. We've got one more Tuesday and one more Wednesday. We'll do it every 2 weeks. And then the final will be in the second week of August. And then the trip is the first week of September. So mark that down, all you poker players. We'll look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. Also want to thank Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, the Tri-Hospital Lottery. Get those tickets, trihospitaldream.com. You've got till midnight on the 25th to count yourself in for the biggest grand prize ever. Manitoba Battery, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, Breezy Bend, Royal Sports, and Boston Pizza. It's Friday. Cheers to Little Brown Jug, our favorite local brewery. Travel Manitoba, the Gold Eyes, Assiniboia Downs, Rollies Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center. And, of course, we'll get to a Why Not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Connor Hrabchak, what's going on? How are you? How are things at Mission Control today of WST?
Yeah, funny enough, Huss, the most stressful part of this is the marbles. Like, I'm talking to Remus, I've got guests, I've got everything figured out in terms of figuring out, getting people into the show, all this stuff. But the longest instructions list that he sent me was for marbles. So we'll try and get marbles done, but bear with us a little bit later. Maybe, maybe not. You'll have to stick around and wait and see.
Yeah. As I said, I was assuming that I would have to break the news to everyone that Remus isn't here. We'll have the show, but we're probably not doing marbles. But apparently, we're going to give it a run. Connor's been training on this. So we will do our best to execute the marble race. It may fail spectacularly, but at least you'll be here to be a part of it. So we will follow the normal Friday protocol today and hopefully have a marble race at the end of the program. But listen, we're going to spend some time diving right into Jonathan Toews. But how about that soccer game yesterday? An absolute pumping of the Qataris, which was literally the perfect and greatest day in Canadian soccer history, with one major caveat: the gruesome leg injury to Ismail Kone, who is, I mean, one of our best players. A huge loss for Canada, which was a little bit of a dark cloud on an otherwise magical day at BC Place.
Yeah, no kidding. What a atmosphere. Like you saw it through the TV. I know you did Lock Shop with Matt Iwanek from EST today, who was there. Shout out to him. That must have been such an awesome experience. But we talked about it on yesterday's show. The biggest game in the men's history of the program, right? They have never won a game at the World Cup, and that is now over. So that is, and what a way to do it. Like, what a statement win for your first ever win at the World Cup, right? 6-0. I looked at some of the stats because, look, self-admitted, I'm not the biggest soccer guy, but like, I'm watching this game thinking, has Qatar had the ball on Canada's side of half once at all? Canada had 80% of the possession, 32-2 were the shots. Shots on goal were 10-0, and the corners were 19-1 in Canada's favor. So they had the ball basically the whole game. They shot 32 times towards the net. Qatar only had 2 shots. And shout out to Canada. I mean, what a performance. Yeah, Kone going down, that hurts. They score the goal right after. They bring up his jersey. They're super happy, showing support for their guy. But that's a big loss moving forward. But this win, Huss, 6-0 over Qatar, sets up a big one against Switzerland next week. Every game is the next biggest game in the men's program's history, and that continues.
Absolutely, and the stakes are high for this one. With the 6-0 win, I mean, if anyone was watching the end of the Bosnia Swiss game, I mean, it was 0-0 into about the 65th or 70th minute. We're like, this is perfect. Switzerland gets a goal, which is actually what we wanted. Originally, I was thinking that a tie would be better, but a tie would actually leave the option that we could have actually finished third in the group. The win basically puts us through, which is great. That'll happen for the first time ever. But there's the opportunity to win this group, and that would mean playing at home in the round of 32. And if they were able to win that game, playing at home again in the round of 16, all in Vancouver without having to travel, which would be a big advantage. The Swiss game ended, it was crazy, the final minutes. Bosnia took a red card. They were down to 10 men. The Swiss ended up winning 4-1. So Canada had to win by 4, and they didn't just win by 4. Obviously, they won by 6. So magical day. We'll talk about it with Asa Rehman. We'll look ahead to the rest of Canada's path and the game next Wednesday, as well as everything else happening in the World Cup with Asa coming up a little bit later on. And as I said, obviously the big story around Jets world is Hellebuzz and what's happening with Connor Hrabchak. But today, not unexpected. We'd been talking about this really since the final week of the regular season, that there was a real possibility that we'd be seeing Jonathan Toews finish up his career. And I think anyone that was at that game, I in particular, and we talked about it the next day, focusing in on Jonathan Toews on that final game of the year, the way he stayed out longer, looking around, had a lot of friends and family at that game. It did sort of telegraph this announcement today. But Jonathan Toews, an NHL legend, made it official. And this man has done it all. Has done it with an incredible element of class throughout his NHL career. Was a very special year for the city, for the organization to have him back, despite the results that came for the team overall. And tell you what, start the clock right now, because as soon as he is officially eligible post-retirement, after the waiting period, number 19, Connor, is going straight into the Hockey Hall of Fame. There's no doubt.
Absolutely, Huss. And you look at his career accomplishments, it wasn't really the focus of today. Mark Chipman spoke a little bit about it on what he's done in his career. Obviously, the focus today, he's thanking his family, he's thanking his fans, stuff like that. But 16 seasons in the NHL, 1,149 games, 912 points, 3 Stanley Cups, 2 Olympic golds, Conn Smythe winner, triple gold club, Selke winner. Like, this guy has done it all. And as you said, Huss, he is going directly into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Mark Chipman, we'll get to some of his comments in a moment here. Obviously, he talked about how proud the community is for Jonathan Toews, and they did it, this retirement press conference at the Jonathan Toews Sportsplex. The impact that he has had here in Winnipeg, here in Manitoba, cannot be understated. And yeah, Chipman and Toews both talked about how they both, were unhappy with how this past season went, but still a remarkable accomplishment to come back, play all 82 games, and cap off what was undoubtedly an incredible career for number 19.
Yeah, listen, I mean, today's not the day to nitpick and go back and bitch about last season. I mean, it is, but to recognize a guy that has represented our city, our community on the world stage since he was a teenager and has done it with the most in poise, class, and obviously greatness for what he's done. Let's hear a little bit from Toews. This is a part of this morning's presser, Jonathan Toews thanking his family and friends here in the city of Winnipeg.
As the old saying goes, it takes a village, and in my case, that couldn't be more true. Too many people named my coaches, childhood friends, people all over the city of Winnipeg. I think it was super special this year to reconnect and to cross paths with people I haven't seen in 15, 20 years. And it's just special to see what the Jets and hockey means in this city, and thank you all for everything. I want to thank Grant Skinner, Kim Senf, and Paterson, another support group for me. You guys have been pretty much like family all these years, and the trust that I have with you guys. My family and I could not have navigated the journey without you guys. Lastly, thank you to our loyal Jets fans in the city of Winnipeg. There's something special about being from this city. I'm so proud to be from Winnipeg, and thank you guys for making this year so special. I hope I've represented you guys well over the years, so thank you very much.
So, Connor, one of the things that really stood out to me listening to Toews speak today was just how strong his connection is to Winnipeg. And that doesn't always happen for, young people that, leave. I mean, he was in Shattuck St. Mary's as a teenager. Then he was playing at the UND. Then he goes straight to being a star and the youngest captain in the National Hockey League and a Stanley Cup champ. And while he always came back, and we all remember, early in the Jets era, the Stanley Cup coming back here in 13 and 15. And even in, obviously the first time they won it before the Jets were back in 2010. But the connection that he had to the city, the ability to play in front of family and friends, incredibly important. And you could see how appreciative he was to the Winnipeg Jets for allowing him that opportunity, but also the support that he had all along the way, and be able to sort of pay a lot of people back in that final year.
Yeah, and obviously, I don't know if it's shocking to you, Huss. Obviously, he's from Winnipeg and has spoken at length about how much of a dream it was to play for the Jets. But I'm still shocked that we're here today and he's retiring as a Winnipeg Jet. He spent the first couple of minutes talking about the Blackhawks and those runs. And, you see athletes all the time sign a one-day contract and retire with the team that they essentially spent the most time in their career with. But today was great from Toews in the sense he's thanking his family, he's thanking his friends, he's talking, mentioning stories of Patrick Kane back in the Chicago Blackhawks and all the players that he played with back in their incredible run, winning cups in 2010, 13, and 15. And then later on talked about the Winnipeg Jets and the support he had this season coming back from the health issues and being able to play a full 82 games. And he even joked that his nickname, he's not sure if it's endearing or not from the team, but the players made him feel like a part of the team and a part of the room. And that's all he really wanted. and spoke at length about how much of an honor it was to be a Winnipeg Jet this season. So I think it was very well done. I loved hearing the stories that he told from his Chicago Blackhawks days. And obviously he was thanking everyone in that organization as well as the Jets organization. But first and foremost, he's thanking his family, the people that helped him get here. And that's exactly, what athletes should and will do on their retirement speeches. It's great.
Yeah, no, exactly. By the way, I got to shout out our buddy Larry TSG, who's actually in a good mood today. Larry, this is a beautiful thing. He'll remember JT's retirement day for however much time I have left, as today is my wife and I's 80th wedding anniversary. Crazy night. So
Wow.
Larry TSG, Mrs. Larry TSG, congratulations from us here at WST, June 19th. What a day, and obviously a perfect day for number 19 to hang it up. Connor, let's just get to number 3 here. This is just Toews speaking about his gratitude and appreciation to the Jets organization.
I'd also like to thank the Winnipeg Jets organization. Mark Chipman, first of all. Your humility is unparalleled. You're a hero in this city for what you continue to do for hockey fans and the Winnipeg community, and you set the bar so high for the rest of us. And thank you for what you've done to bring the Jets back and to bring hockey back to Winnipeg. It's monumental. I knew what it meant when I was a kid and growing up and being a Winnipegger all these years, but to come back and witness it firsthand as being a Winnipeg Jet, it's amazing. It means so much to the city and to people that love hockey, and so thank you for what you do for the city, what you do for the organization, the culture you've created, the family, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to live out my dream of pulling on that Jet sweater and playing in front of my hometown community, my family, my friends, all the people that have supported me over the years. So it meant a lot to them, and it means a lot to me. To Chevy and Arnie, I know that you guys took a huge risk this year by giving me the chance to play. I know it was kind of a bit of a wild card, not knowing what this year would look like, having been away from the game for 2 years, and it's a business. You guys are out there to win. You're there to build a winning team and to give the fans what they want. And I can't thank you enough for your patience and your support and helping me find my way and being part of this locker room and this team.
And we do have one more clip, and this is, I think, always interesting for Jet fans to, hear about the relationships from a player like Jonathan Toews coming in for 1 year within this hockey club that, many of the players and many of the leaders have been there for a number of years. Here's Jonathan thanking the Jet players on the current squad in the room for the past season.
To the boys here in the locker room, Captain Adam Lowry, Mark Scheifele, Josh Morrissey, Kyle Connor Hrabchak, the entire locker room. I can go down the list. What a great group. Even though I feel like I struggle on the ice and didn't quite contribute the way I wanted to at times this year, you guys made me feel part of the group right away. I don't think, where's Laos? I don't think I had as many nicknames my entire career as I did in that locker room this year. I'm not sure if it's endearing quite yet or not, but no, you guys have created a special culture in that locker room. I know that doesn't happen overnight, and it takes so much commitment and time. And again, you guys have really, really put the team first and put hockey first above all else. And I wish I could have done more. I wish we would have had a little bit more team success. I think we all wanted that this year, but you guys just kept showing up every day, ready to work and have fun, and that starts with you guys.
Connor, what kind of stood out to me there, in addition to just how much he wanted to be a part of the team and really did like the culture and the guys in that Jet room, he spoke to the fact that he was disappointed that he wasn't able to, help the team more, obviously have the team finish to a better standing. And you knew that he had an incredible standard that, the bar was so high for Jonathan Toews. It was almost going to be impossible for him to come in and really live up to that. But it's very clear when you speak to anybody in the organization just how committed he was to doing everything he could to help. And, unfortunately, it just wasn't up to the level that he had hoped. And I think that was a big factor in moving on to the next stage of his life.
For sure. And I think you can tell by the way he talks about how much of a pleasure and an honor it was to come back to Winnipeg. I mean, just imagine how great or how special it would have felt for him to play in front of a whiteout, right? And in the playoffs and get that experience from the Winnipeg fans. So Jonathan Toews, all class today. I mean, he mentioned it. Mark Chipman mentioned it, that the team didn't want to be where he was, or where the team was this past season, I should say. Jonathan Toews talking about his own game, talking, that he didn't live up to his expectations. That's something we heard from him at the end of the season as well. But certainly a monumental moment to have Jonathan Toews play for the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, Mark Chipman spoke about it as well. He didn't even think that this was a possibility. And again, both Toews and the team not where they wanted to be, but certainly a special thing, and would have been that much more special if they made the playoffs and we saw Jonathan Toews in front of the whiteout.
Let's hear from Mark Chipman. This is number 5. This is Chipman speaking on behalf of the organization, as well as fans here in the city and hockey fans in general that have followed his career, whether they're Jet fans or not. Here he is on the battle back from the problems he had in the aftermath of COVID and finishing his career as a Winnipeg Jet.
Looking back at it now, I cannot fathom how you managed to play through the long-term effects of COVID-19 and finish off your obligations in Chicago, but you did. When you shared with me the challenges that you were facing, I had little appreciation for what it all meant. Unfortunately, I do now, and I remember hoping that you would find your way back, because I believed the game was just simply better with you in it. And I always held out a quiet hope that you might finish your career back home, but I don't think I ever believed it would until it did. I remember that day like it was yesterday. Pat and Chevy were working on a deal, and I got a text. I remember when I was where I was standing when I got a text that said, "JT is a Jet."
There's Jets chairman Mark Chipman, and there was more on Toews. And I thought, if you have the opportunity to go back and listen to the entirety of what Chipman had to say, I think it's worth your time, especially on a day like this. With a legend like Jonathan Toews finishing up. But here's more remarks from Mark on Toews' impact on the organization as well as hockey in general.
Just about a year ago, a young man who shares our relationship with the University of North Dakota spoke to our entire organization about his amazing life journey. And his message has really stuck with me ever since. He told us something we all probably knew but rarely acknowledge, which is that it's not what you accomplish or how far you go in life, it's who you get to do life with. And I know I can say on behalf of Adam and Arnie and Chevy and our entire team how grateful we all are to have had the opportunity to do life with you over the past year. Now, I can only imagine how the city of Chicago and the Blackhawks will want to acknowledge your remarkable career. Obviously, I can't speak for them, but it's pretty easy for me to envision a statue at the United Center someday soon. I believe I can, however, speak for our fans and the fans of the National Hockey League in thanking you for the many contributions you made to our great game, and the fans of the Winnipeg Jets and this entire province for how proud you've made us to call this home. 3 years from now, you're going to be eligible for induction into the Hockey Hall of Fame, and I'm really looking forward to have a front row seat to that process. Until then, I want to congratulate you on your extraordinary career and wish you all the very best with the next chapter of your life. Hopefully, someday and in some way, we can continue to do life together, John. Congratulations, and thank you.
This is the time, folks. Last week to get your tickets for the Tri-Hospital Dream Lottery and count yourself in for early bird prizes worth over $250,000. Get your tickets at tryhospitaldream.com before midnight on Friday. And you will have the option, if you are the big early bird winner, of a 26 Land Rover Range Rover SE plus $50,000 cash, or a 26 Mercedes-Benz G850 SUV valued at over $245K, or $210,000 cash tax-free. There's also 25 $500 early bird winners in cold hard cash. And of course, everyone getting a ticket will be in for the grand prize draw. And the grand prize will be one of 5 $1.7 million dream home packages, or $1.35 million cash. It is all in support of the Health Sciences Center, the St. Boniface Hospital, and the HSC Children's Hospital. Get your tickets today, gang. Try hospitaldream.com or pop by your local London Drugs or Red River Co-op locations to get them in person. Make sure to check out the 50/50 and extra cash plus options as well. Become an instant millionaire and support our hospitals with the Try Hospital Dream Lottery. A big shout out to our friends at Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Of course, Clean Line are Winnipeg's most trusted plumbers with over 40 years of fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg, leading the way as well with residential and commercial plumbing, heating, and electrical services around the greater Winnipeg area. You can check them out online and make an appointment at cleanline.ca. And don't forget the number 204-500-2001 for 24/7 emergency services from Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. I was out fishing on the weekend and, got into talk about boats and everything that goes on with, with fishing weekend. And one thing was clear. The guys in the know for batteries all go to Manitoba Battery. It was fun talking to a bunch of fellows that I just met for the first time about how they are at Manitoba Battery a number of times a year because, of course, Manitoba Battery is the local option with the best prices in town, period. These guys aren't wasting their time and money at the big box stores. They're shopping local. They're going to Logan Avenue. They're going to Dovercourt Drive and getting the best prices in town for their boats, for their RVs, for their dirt bikes, you name it. If it needs a battery to take on summer, Manitoba Battery has it, and Manitoba Battery is the best price in town. Manitoba Battery also very fired up to be on board with your Winnipeg Blue Bombers as a corporate sponsor. It all starts on Thursday with the home opener. Manitoba Battery, your number one local option for the best and lowest prices in batteries and powering your blue and gold this year. And hey, got to shout out our friends at Rolly's Transfer as well. If you've got a move coming up this summer or fall, lean on our friends at Rolly's, the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. They've been doing it for over 60 years, family owned and operated. Make sure to go and check out their website at rollies.com. Top right corner, you can request an estimate. Put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. Then let them know when and where you're moving and what needs to move. The friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around quickly, get you a great quote, and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they have been famous for over 60 years. For all your moving needs, make it Rollies, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more today over at rollies.com. All right, back on WST now. I'm hoping Asa Rehman's going to join us from Vancouver in a few minutes. We'll have Murat coming up at the top of the hour. We'll really dive into the Hellebuck topic. But Connor, just to wrap the Toews stuff, and I know we'll hit on this with Murat a little bit later on. There are a lot of people, and Mark Chipman mentioned, when he spoke today, that he doesn't want to speak for Chicago, but thinks there's a high likelihood that at some point there'll be a statue of number 19 outside the United Center.
Yeah.
I know some people wondering, and I still do. I mean, obviously today was the announcement of the retirement. Does he do a one-day contract to retire as a Blackhawk? I mean, when he goes into the Hockey Hall of Fame, it will be as a Chicago Blackhawk. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that this chapter for Toews sort of wraps up his amazing hockey journey. And it's quite clear that he was very appreciative to be able to do it on his terms in his hometown with the Winnipeg Jets.
For sure. And today was all about the retirement. I'm sure you were getting texts too, Huss. I was getting texts. Our chat room is bringing it up. Is there maybe a front office role in the future for Jonathan Toews? People are wondering, is that with the Winnipeg Jets? Maybe he'd want to go work for the Chicago Blackhawks. Who knows what his next steps are? That's something he didn't really dive into today that much. I know some people in chat are very much on board with the idea of Jonathan Toews being a part of the, executive staff for True North Sports and Entertainment and the Winnipeg Jets. So that's something. We'll see what the next steps are for Jonathan Toews. Obviously, with his health issues, battling to come back to even play in the NHL and then play 82 games, he's probably just going to chill out for a little bit, chill out for a year and then reevaluate. But today, they didn't really divulge into that too far. Today was all about his retirement, thanking people that got him here. And we'll see if maybe he continues his life in hockey, as Mark Chipman did kind of allude to. Hopefully he gets to do life with Jonathan Toews in the future, is what he said. Maybe that is something down the line. We'll have to wait and see for that.
Yeah, you know what? I really don't know. I mean, he has been, when he's been here, he's been talking hockey. I mean, I know people that are close with him, but, don't have any, a personal connection myself. Sometimes guys like this, hockey's in their blood and that's all they want to do. I'm not sure that that's the case with Jonathan Toews. And consider everything that he's been through and the push to come back and the work. I think these next months or years is going to be a little bit of discovery about what he does want to do moving forward. Although for a lot of players, when hockey is literally all that you've known, it is something going forward. The guy would be a great asset, I think, to any organization in a variety of roles. And if that is something that he wants to do, I think that there is absolutely no doubt, based on what we've heard today and what we already know, that the Winnipeg Jets would have arms wide open for Mr. Toews if he did want to continue in hockey and in the organization post his playing career. Before we talk to Murat, we're going to play a couple of these Hellebucks clips, but there was a interesting transaction today in the NHL, Reem. Darren Radish, who was scheduled to go to unrestricted free agency, was traded by the Tampa Bay Lightning to the Toronto Maple Leafs for a 5th-round pick. Good business by the Lightning, getting something done before their player goes to market. And how about the deal that Darren Radish has? The first big signing by John Chayka as the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Am I reading this correct? 8 by 8.5?
Yeah, Huss. So Darren Radish, a player who throughout his career hasn't been a top pair guy, hasn't been a top power play guy, right? But last year with Tampa Bay, he was awesome. He was running that top power play unit. Kucherov was feeding him for one-timers really all season long, and he had a ton of goals last year. And he was one of those players that going into UFA, it's going to be a lighter class. He had a great contract year, so he's going to be the kind of guy that is cashing in big time. And I mean, he's cashing in. He's from Toronto, so Toronto gets ahead of the free agency. Maybe they think that they're not overpaying him, and on the open market, they would have had to pay him even a little bit more. But yeah, we see this a lot where there's pending UFAs. Teams will trade a pick so that they can negotiate early. That's what the Leafs are doing here. And John Chayka getting right to business. I mean, he made the Joseph Woll trade. Now he's going out and getting Darren Radish. July 1 is going to suck, Huss. July 1 is going to be just terrible. I mean, it's the Boone Jenner sweepstakes. It's the Boone Jenner,
I mean, listen, there's a lot of players, and much like the deadline, we want to focus on the big flashy names. The most important work in and around July 1st, this year at least, is going to be, rounding out rosters, filling needs of players that, aren't making 8 by 8.5. The story of Radish is incredible.
Yeah.
In that, he's now 30 years old. He played in the OHL for the Erie Otters, won a championship in his final year, never drafted into the National Hockey League, and then played in the American Hockey League for the better part of the next 5-6 seasons. He was not an NHL regular until the 23-24 season, when he played every game for the Tampa Bay Lightning, had 6 goals and 33 points. Last year, his second full season as an NHL regular, 73 games, 6 goals, 37 points. And then we talk about it all the time when we're dealing with free agents. Timing is everything. Darren Radish last year, as you mentioned, on that high-powered power play, the Tampa Bay Lightning, without Hedman for a long time, he took over. 22 goals, 70 points, almost a point a game player. And you put up those sort of numbers in the National Hockey League going into unrestricted free agency, you are going to get paid. And he gets a bit of a homecoming. We were just talking about Jonathan Toews. Mm-hmm. He goes back to the Leafs. But what I do find interesting about this is that, we saw with the trade of Woll and the young defenseman that came over earlier on, and now getting a player like Radish, the speculation that Morgan Riley is going to be on the move, is that John Chayka is doing a major overhaul into his vision of this team, and this is the first big domino to fall.
Yeah, and speaking of dominoes to fall, is Austin Matthews going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf in 3 years and into the future, right? So this is them, I think, trying to push the pace in this offseason, make some big moves. They go out and get Darren Radish, like you said, 22 goals last year, but not his career story. You outlined it well. It's fascinating. Late bloomer, if you will. Clearly 70 points last year. He is 30 years old, and this is an 8-year deal. So they're going to be paying him for a lot of his, quote unquote, non-prime years of this contract. So we'll see how Toronto, the rest of their offseason moves, how Radish fits into their lineup once their roster is set. But Chayka's getting right to business. We know they're very likely to take Gavin McKenna. They have Matthews. They have Nylander. They're trying to get some puck-moving defensemen to move the puck up to these guys, right? Radish is a puck-moving guy. He can be a top power play guy. The Joseph Woll trade with Philadelphia, they brought back a defenseman who's 5'9", but has great puck-moving ability. So they're trying to, I think they're undergoing a bit of an identity change in Toronto, Huss, where there was the Berube era. They're trying to be tougher to play against, but now maybe Chayka's coming in and they're trying to lean in more to that puck-moving, high-flying style and lean into Matthews, Nylander, McKenna's strengths sort of thing. So I'll be fascinated to see what else Chayka and the Leafs have in store because like Darren Radish is not a Berube guy if it was last year, right? But now they have a new coach. Obviously, the new GM is making moves. And Toronto, center of the hockey universe, making some moves here.
Yeah, so Radish gets it done. And, when you look at that list of the top free agents, so Chris Johnson's big board had Radish at number 2. Alex Tuck is the sort of the big fish remaining after all the other guys that were eligible got big deals to stay with their teams. I mean, the other names out there for those that are all rubbing their hands to see what's going to happen on the 1st of July. Although Winnipeg's usually not in the mix for most of the top free agents. Rasmus Andersson, still no extension with the Golden Knights. Will that happen based on, the way he played since joining Vegas? I guess we will see. John Carlson, sounds like he would like to get probably back to the East, looking for kind of a 2-year deal at $5 per season. Bob is fascinating. Sergei Bobrovsky, certainly the top goaltending name on the list. No deal with Florida yet. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation that Florida might be trying to get our goalie, Connor Hrabchak, down to South Florida. But Bob, and I think we mentioned this yesterday or the day before in the show, Bob is looking for like the Marchand deal. I mean, he wants a contract that's going to pay him till he's 43 or 44 years old. And I'm not sure Bill Zito's signing up for another contract like that after doing it with the Rat.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, though, I think, Huss, right? Like, he sees Marchand do it. Like, well, this guy's getting paid till 43. I'm coming off of back-to-back Stanley Cups. Obviously, this past year, Florida didn't even make the playoffs. But he's trying to leverage that reputation as a back-to-back Cup winner to a 6-year deal at 37 or 38 years old or whatever it is. So the Florida goaltending question, maybe this is a good segue into our next clips here from Darren Dreger, but Florida's goaltending is a massive question mark this offseason because I think a lot of people expect them to bounce back next year. Barkov wasn't healthy this past year. They had a number of injuries. I remember Florida late in the season, we were looking at their roster, and it was basically an AHL roster with a couple of their guys still healthy. But Bobrovsky's a UFA, as you outlined on the big board. What does Florida do with their goaltending? Is Bill Zito willing to go 7 years with 38-year-old Sergei Bobrovsky, or however old he is? That'll be very interesting. But Florida, I mean, if they've done it once, maybe they do it again, Huss, and maybe Bob retires at 40, and then the cap is freed up. I don't know what the thought process would be to signing multiple guys into their mid 40s, but maybe Florida's the kind of team to do it because they're all in right now. We'll see.
For those of you wondering about the rest of the list, number 6 is Anders Lee. Doesn't have a deal yet with the New York Islanders. Our old buddy Jacob Trouba, looking for a place to play on the right side somewhere. He's number 7. Anthony Mantha 8. Michael Bunting 9. Mason Marchment 10. For those of you wondering, where is Big Stan on this list? He comes in at number 29. It was CJ who did predict midway through his hot streak with the Jets this season that he might be looking at 5x5. The updated projection after his time with Buffalo is a projected 2-year contract at 2.95 AAV. Yeah. That's a projection. We'll see what he ends up getting and who ends up signing him, but probably not the riches that it looked like when he was scoring every second game during that incredible run with the Jets. Needless to say, next week and the 29th and 30th coming out of the draft, we'll spend a lot more time focusing in on free agency. But right now, it's more about the assets that the Winnipeg Jets have and what that might be turned into. And is their greatest asset their 3-time Vezina Trophy winning goaltender and Hart Trophy winner a previous season ago, potentially on the move. And, we've been playing these clips from Drager for the last couple days, first from TSN Inside Hockey, yesterday from Barn Burner over on the Nation Network. And on yesterday's program of Overdrive, Drager continued the media tour talking about Hellebuck's situation. And for those of you that missed this before, this isn't just any of the insiders. Drager is the one guy that has that line into the Winnipeg Jets front office. And when the Winnipeg Jets, over the course of the last 15 years, have had things to get out there, they want people to know their position, where they're standing, Drager has been the guy that has got the information. So most of this that you hear is pretty much right from the squad, right from the team. It's very, very reliable when it comes from Drager, and this is really what I think the Jets want going out. We heard yesterday, the quote was, the Jets are absolutely considering trading Connor Hrabchak. Now, he went on yesterday with Overdrive, and we'll play this first one, just about the situation around him. Has there been an official trade request, or is this just being open to a change? Sounds like the Jets goaltender wouldn't mind maybe a change of scenery. Here's Drager from Overdrive yesterday.
Is Connor Hrabchak on that list that's going up on tsn.ca?
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is. He's look at Noodles. He is like,
wow.
He is. He's in our top 10 just by virtue of name alone. But again, this is one of those dances that we always go through, right? And is it a game of semantics? Is he being shopped or is he listening? And I'm talking about Cheveldayoff here, the general manager. And I can confidently say that they're not shopping Connor Hrabchak. But if you rewind the clock 2 months ago, Hrabchak was pretty clear that he was not happy with how that season went for the Winnipeg Jets. Now, I don't have the information that he has formally asked for a trade, so I don't believe that he has. But I think that there's a clear indication that he wouldn't mind of change. And he's got trade protection. So if you're Winnipeg now here, guys, and you're looking at your roster, and so you've got Jonathan Toews, who's officially going to retire tomorrow. So now you need a number 2 center. They'd like to upgrade their number 4 center. I think they'd like to add something, maybe a physical presence on the back end. And, if you trade Connor Hrabchak, you're going to have to address your goaltending. So there's a lot of boxes that need to be checked for the Winnipeg Jets. They're not going to get all of that, even with Connor Hrabchak potentially in play. But you're going to get two good pieces, I think. I mean, you're talking about a decorated winner here, like an Olympic champion, Vezina trophies. I mean, go down the list. And look, we're just gauging on what Connor Hrabchak said 2 months ago. He was unhappy then. If he's still that unhappy, then okay, cut bait, get what you can get for Connor Hrabchak and move forward.
The end of that is most notable, and I think this goes to what he had said yesterday. From speaking about the loyalty of the club, but at the same point, if people are unhappy and don't want to be there, then as you just heard, Connor, cut bait. And the minute I heard these clips, even earlier, I said it yesterday on the show, that told me that it's happening, provided, and this is the caveat that I think everyone needs to keep in mind, provided that the Winnipeg Jets get the price that they feel Connor Hrabchak should get them on the trade market. And it's very clear that they're willing to do this at this point. The question is, whether it be Bill Zito, whether it be another NHL landing spot that he would accept a trade to, can pony up with the price that Kevin Cheveldayoff needs to make the deal work for Winnipeg.
For sure. And Dreger, the start of that clip too, he talks about how we do this song and dance. As a player requested a trade, our team's just calling. Is the team willing? There's all these different language terms that we use to describe players who may or may not be traded. But it does seem like between the clips that we've shown on the last couple of days here that the Jets are open to trading Connor Hrabchak, but you're bang on. I mean, he's a full no move. They're not just going to move him for pennies on the dollar. Their price needs to be met, but it sounds like if their price is met, and Dreger has outlined it across multiple clips as well, second line center, maybe a top 4D. He even throws in fourth line center in a couple of these clips, which I don't know, fourth line centers you can kind of find anywhere. But if that price is met and they're getting a first round pick or they're getting an offer that really blows their socks off, that they might do it. They might do it. This is where we're at with Connor Hrabchak. Now, it's no guarantee that he will get traded. It's no guarantee that he won't get traded. It's just a matter of fact of will the price be met that satisfies Kevin Cheveldayoff. And Huss, we talk about the hella buzz every day here on the show. We're getting to the daily Dreger. Every day we're playing a Dreger clip. Oh, he was on this pod. Oh, he's on this pod. And I mean, yeah, it's pretty clear.
I mean, hey, he's taking advantage of the fact. I mean, listen, this is a competitive business, and I mean, Elliot Friedman is the dominant and most connected and reliable voice. I mean, he sort of has become Bob McKenzie 2.0. And I think for a lot of the other guys, they need to make hay when the sun shines, if you will. And this is big time league news. And Drager's the guy reporting it. So he's getting it out there. And it sounded a little different from That's Hockey to where things are today. But I'll go so far as to say I will guarantee Connor Hrabchak is traded. What I can't tell you is when it's going to happen.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
okay.
I would be shocked at this point if we're hearing with the situation that we're in, if this doesn't end with Hrabchak being traded. I won't guarantee that it happens before the start of the season. I won't guarantee that it happens before next year's trade deadline. I do think there's a very good chance it could happen in the next week. But again, I keep going back to this, and all you need to do is look at the way Cheveldayoff and the Winnipeg Jets have handled similar situations in the past. They have been very patient. They have waited, and they've got what they determined they had to have for whatever the player or the asset going out is. And this has never been a bigger part of a situation than Hrabchak with his importance to the Winnipeg Jets. Now, here's a little bit more from that conversation yesterday on Overdrive. The question, this is from Hayes, and I think it's a very good one, especially considering what we heard about the Dylan Larkin situation and knowing about how close a lot of those guys got post-Olympics. Is Hrabchak really looking for a change, or is this just like a Larkin-esque Florida change? Here's Hazy B.
How open do you think he'd be to actual change or a very specific South Florida change?
I don't think we're quite there yet, but he does have full trade protection. So he's probably not interested in going to a team that isn't capable of winning, even with, the potential of his heroics in the crease. Florida is interesting, and we all leap to that because of the Bobrovsky situation, right? And the former connection to Paul Maurice. I get that. But there are two things that stick out to me. So at the very least, Lundell would have to come back in that deal. That would satisfy Winnipeg's need at center ice. Florida doesn't want to trade Lundell. They have no interest in doing that. And I can tell you, Paul Maurice is very sensitive when it comes to the Winnipeg Jets. Now, he has a boss, and his boss's name is Bill Zito. So the general manager, if Connor Hrabchak is actually an option for the Florida Panthers and Zito wants to make that play, then he's, 100% he can make that play. I don't think Paul would be comfortable with it because he would see like it's poaching against Winnipeg. But again, it depends on what the package is going out. If it makes Winnipeg stronger in other areas, then maybe you can live with it. I actually thought, and I gave it a lot of thought prior to the Stanley Cup final, that Carolina could be a stop for Connor Hrabchak. All of the uncertainty, everything that goes. And if you look at their roster, they've got some interesting young guys who are unprotected. Like Seth Jarvis is a Winnipeg kid. He's unprotected. Like, he doesn't have trade protection is what I'm saying. But the way they won that Stanley Cup and the way Brandon Bussey just did what he had to do to secure their goaltending situation, I don't even think it's an option anymore. I don't know why you'd give up good young assets. I don't.
All right, so there's Drager on that. Now that, I'll be honest, that's a weird clip to me. Like, is he suggesting that Paul Maurice would be against getting Connor Hrabchak on a squad because it would be damaging to the Jets? I mean, well, listen, I know he said what he said at the end of that, but that was, listen, that was a bit much for me. I'm not anticipating that we have that Paul Maurice is like, listen, I know this is a great trade for us, but don't do it. I can't do that to my friends in Winnipeg. That's a bit much for me.
Yeah. I mean, that would be from the Paul Maurice school of I'm not going in the handshake line because it's for the players, and it's like, well, where is that even coming from? Like, where would it even come from that you're not in on picking from Winnipeg? You don't want a Hart Trophy level goaltender, like, just because you used to coach him? Like, I don't, that was a weird clip as well. I mean, between those two, the Lundell thing is interesting, like Drager floating that Anton Lundell would have to come back in the package, but Florida's not willing to move him and stuff like that. Obviously, he's cost controlled, he's cheap, he's 24, he's a great second line center.
He's the guy Winnipeg needs.
He's the guy Winnipeg needs. And maybe that's the sticking point right now, right? So
wouldn't surprise. One thing we didn't hear at all when Drager's been saying is a first round pick. I mean, he has been talking more about players, which is interesting. I still think that. Listen, we've got Asa actually has popped in. Okay. So let's just quickly get a quick touch in Vancouver. Murat's going to join us in just a couple minutes. But we do have my good pal from Global Sports and News now in Vancouver, Asa Rehman, who will just pop in just a second when Connor has him ready.
Yeah,
and then Murat's coming up in just a few minutes on the program as well for more on the Hrabchak talk. Let's welcome him in. You remember him from his days in the Peg, and now he's out on the West Coast. And man, for a guy that has covered as much soccer as you, Asa, what a treat this must be to be there in a World Cup host. And I mean, what can we say about yesterday? I mean, despite the brutal injury to Kone, which is, I mean, a real sort of black cloud of it, a monumental, historic day for our Canadian men's national team.
Yeah, it really was, Andrew. And you know what? I apologize for being late here. Was it the Canadian training earlier today at UBC? It was really good to see the guys out there. And it is a special moment here in Vancouver, but across the country as well. It's great to see everybody kind of rallying around this team. And you're right, it was so hard to watch that Kone injury. It was absolutely devastating. It was a roller coaster ride watching that game, the highs and then that low. It was really, really difficult to watch. And yeah, everybody obviously thinking about Kone and his family right now. But fun to be a part of this thing, fun to tell the stories and take in the action here and the vibes. It's been amazing. I'm not sure what it's like out in Winnipeg, but I know the soccer community in Winnipeg. I know the Bonavital boys and girls and everyone at that club. And I know that there's just clubs across the country. The soccer community across the country is really enjoying this and loving it. And they should.
The buzz is growing, and I think more and more casuals, if you will, or people that frankly haven't even been really ever that locked in to our team are right now. And let me just ask you, you mentioned you were at training. What was the vibe around the team coming off their biggest win ever? But I'm sure the Kone cloud was a big one, and everyone just feeling for one of their star players and most important guys on the squad.
Well, you nailed it. I think for people, maybe if you're not following this team, you're not as familiar with Ismail Kone, you may not know what he means to this group, but you're right. He is such an integral part. He is the engine in the middle of the park. I believe he was going to be their breakout player at this tournament as well. We saw him kind of showing a little bit of that in these two early games. And he's kind of the difference maker. So they sorely miss him. You could see that. You can feel that. But you can also see that this is a rallying cry and an opportunity for the team to really get together, come together, and have that next man up mentality as well. Nathan Saliba is the one that comes in. What an emotional moment that was. Scores a stunning free kick in the game, goes and celebrates and pays homage to Kone holding up his jersey. You can see what Kone means to this group, but they will miss him. Might look a little bit different through the middle of the park as well. Maybe Saliba will play it a little bit more defensively, but yeah, plenty of options for this team. Vibes are generally pretty good. We heard from Max Crepeau. We heard from Jesse Marsh. Everyone's in good spirits and looking forward to the next match against Switzerland, and made a point to say that, finishing first in the group is still a high priority. It was the goal coming into the tournament. Very much up for grabs. Winning the group means that they will stay in Vancouver for the round of 32 match. If they win that one, they stay in Vancouver for the round of 16 match. So that is still a huge priority for this group.
I imagine that the city of Vancouver is electric, probably unlike anything since the 2010 Olympics. I mean, I'll be honest, like I went to the game in Toronto. So I was there for the opener. Awesome. In the building. It was, a magical day, but I had a feeling that when things got to Vancouver, it would be kicked up a few notches. And it really seems like, both with the size of the stadium, the soccer history and community in Vancouver, it's all coming together. And man, next Wednesday afternoon, 2:00 here in Winnipeg, I think we're going to have a lot of people blowing out of the office a little early because the momentum for this team on the field and off the field continues to be growing.
That's great. And that's what I want to see more of. We have two cities in Canada, part of this World Cup, but I'd like to see everybody feeling like they're a part of this thing, having watch parties, shutting down work and school and what have you, or watching in school if you need to, but really, getting everybody across the country involved in this thing and included, because there's so much soccer history in the country that, we're starting to see through this World Cup as well, which has been really nice. So the vibes have been great in Vancouver. You can see it throughout the streets. I think you're still seeing a lot of jerseys around. I don't know if you saw the Connor McDavid jersey where someone took out the mech part and put the J David, like Jonathan David. It's one of my favorite pictures, actually. Just, love it. I saw somebody rollerblading with the stick outside of the stadium as well. So everyone's on board, and this is what you need. You mentioned the 2010 Olympics and some similarities in the fact that I think people didn't know what to expect till it got going. And once it started, it's like someone flicks a switch and it just keeps ramping up too. So I think we're seeing that. You're right. Toronto had something going. I think this Vancouver match against Qatar here was another sort of step up. And then a Switzerland one, I think, is going to be unreal as well. And they're all but guaranteed a spot in the knockout round. And those games, when it's win or go home, are going to be on another level as well.
Well, I mean, listen, I mean, yesterday, I mean, the Qataris went down a man, and, it was blood in the water for a team that, because of the way that these tournaments are set up, you got to get greedy and you got to keep the foot on the gas.
Yes.
And they got the job done. I mean, Switzerland had that crazy late flurry against the Bosnians to win by 3. And of course, they had tied Qatar. So it was time for Canada to floor it. They did it. They got the job done. The 6-0 win means that they're top of the group right now.
Yes.
And a tie against the Swiss would put them through as the number 1 team. And as you mentioned, playing the round of 32. And if they win the round of 16, still on home turf. Just look ahead to this Swiss match. I mean, thoughts on the Swiss and the challenge for the Canadians to get the result they need to stay on top and win Group B.
Yeah, it's all there. It's all up for grabs. A chance to win the group on the line, and having the match at home in front of the home crowd, I think is huge as well. And I also think that Canada might be a little bit more motivated to have these games at BC Place. The second place team would play another second place team out of the second place team in this group. So it's not the worst case scenario for Switzerland. I don't think they would care as much to win this group. It doesn't matter as much to them. And there might be a bit of rotation. That doesn't mean it's going to be an easier outing for Canada. Obviously, without Ismail Kone now, you also have some players coming back from injury. Moise Bombito, he's a big part of this team. Questions about whether or not he'd even be a part of this World Cup. And here he is getting minutes. I think we could see some of him in that match. And then Alphonso Davies is another one who's getting healthier as days go by. So you'd want to get him on the pitch as well. And what an atmosphere that would be at BC Place if Fonzie does step on the pitch. And I expect him to get into this game against Switzerland. Looking forward to it. Should be another great occasion here.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Davies situation, I mean, I got an alert on my phone that Jesse Marsh had declared Davies available for yesterday's game. It was awesome to see Bombito get out there. And I think, honestly, the way that they thrashed Qatar was perfect because they didn't have to go to Davies. They give him the extra training, the extra rest. But I do think the expectation is the captain of our team will have that armband, will be wearing number 19, and will be out with the fellas against the Swiss in the biggest game our country's ever seen.
Chills, my guy. You saying that just gave me the goosebumps. Like, for real. Like, it is that kind of moment, because as heartbreaking as the Kone injury is, the idea of Fonzie getting closer to a return now is just so exciting, because he is that difference maker. He is the best player on this team. He is the captain, as you mentioned as well. And then you got Jonathan David finding his scoring boots as well with the hat trick, and now tied for the Golden Boot lead with Lionel Messi. Like, just, it's one of these pinch me moments with everything just kind of aligning right now for this group. Still a lot of work to do, but the team's getting a little bit healthier in some areas. Bombito on the pitch, I think that he is our best center back as well. Fonzie's our best player. So once those guys are fully fit, look out. I think this team can do some damage. Got to get past Switzerland and make sure that you at least get the draw there and play the next one at home and finish top of the group. But things are lining up nicely for Canada right now.
Man, it's been so much fun following this tournament so far and seeing a game. And I think there's a lot of people trying to find a way to get to that match in Vancouver, or hopefully a couple more games in Vancouver as we go. Asa, great stuff. We'll try and maybe do this later on as the team advances and plays more games in your neck of the woods. Great talking to you, buddy. Thanks as always.
Love it. Thank you.
Good stuff. There's Asa Rehman with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Great friend of the program, and does some great work covering the Whitecaps out in BC as well. You can give him a follow on X over at Asa Rehman. All right, we are going to have Murat come in. We're going to get to more of this Hellebuck talk. We'll talk a little football later on with Ben Kramer and Hacksaw. But Murat coming up next on WST. Do want to thank Princess Auto for their great support of WST. I mentioned a bunch of the fishing dudes were talking about Manitoba Battery on the weekend. They were also talking about the new Princess Auto store. Everyone there had either been there already and raved about it, or had planned to get there ASAP when they had got back to the city. This new Princess Auto flagship store is the talk of the town, gang. We've never seen anything like it. You can pop in, you can grab a beer, you can grab a smash burger, take a look, the biggest Princess Auto ever. And especially if you are a camper, a fisherman, a hunter, they've juiced up and got the best of all merchandise, gear, equipment for all of those as well, in addition to everything you've come to know at Princess Auto. Bring the kids, there's free ice cream. There's areas where you can work on stuff. You can shoot a crossbow. It needs to be seen to be believed. So get on down 500 Panet Road, the new flagship Princess Auto store. And on Thursday, make sure you're at Princess Auto Stadium to see the Winnipeg Blue Bombers do their thing. More information online at princessauto.com. Big weekend over at Chud's, I'm sure. They closed for the May long weekend, and now it's all systems go for summer. So Chud's Power Sports, both new and used inventory available for you when it comes to motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, golf carts, boats and outboard motors, farming equipment, recreational vehicles, big RVs, Argos, and more. They've got some great deals on right now, on used inventory when it comes to motorcycles, side-by-sides, RVs. Great financing options made easy for you so you can turn your adventure into reality. While you're there, make sure to ask them about True North Parts. If you go to their website, chudspowersports.com, you can click on the link. It'll take you to quality used power sports with great deals on ATVs, side-by-side, snowmobiles, motorcycles, outboards, as well as clearance gear and accessories. They're all waiting for you. Go see the Derminator and the gang of Chuds, Highway 8 and 231 in Gimli, or check them out online today at chudspowersports.com. Hey, if it's been a minute since you've been to see the dentist, don't let that lang. Get that done before we get into the beautiful summer, and it's one less thing on your to-do list. And if you need a great spot to take care of your teeth for yourself and your family, pop down to St. Vital Dental Center, like generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans have. Our good friend Dr. Terry would love to take care of you and your group when it comes to dental services. They do it all for clients from 6 months to 99 plus, with a full range of services from cleanings and checkups to things like dental implants. They do it all. They got a great new spot at 167 St. Anne's with convenient free parking right behind the building as well. For all your dental needs, pop by St. Vital Dental Center. Hit them up online and make an appointment at stviteldental.ca, and make sure to tell Dr. Terry that the boys at WST sent you. And hey, it is World Cup week. The world is here. It's in Canada. The teams have arrived, and it is go time. Mexico kicks off the tournament on Thursday, and then Canada and Bosnia-Herzegovina, 2 p.m. Winnipeg time, Saturday afternoon. Boston Pizza's the place to be for it. Wear red to Boston Pizza's Canada Red viewing parties at every local BP, Friday, June 2nd at 2 p.m. They'll be giving away Team Canada jerseys and World Cup swag, including 3 huge Trianda Authentic World Cup balls from Royal Sports. You can grab the BP $15 lunch special. And every World Cup game is going to be on the big screens at Boston Pizza with specials, prizes, and your chance to win a grand prize trip for 2 to the World Cup final in New York. Stick around. We'll have another MVP platter to give away at the end of today's game. All right, we're going to get back to the Hellebuck saga. Murat's going to join us in just a minute, but this segment is brought to you by your Prairie Toyota dealers and the Toyota Tacoma. Its standard I-Force engine boasts an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds. In fact, it's the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. And when it's time to load up, the available power liftgate makes loading your gear in and out a cinch. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer during Red Tag Days. Let's bring him in. Murat from The Athletic. Murat, before we dive into the Jet topics. How about our Canadian team and that win yesterday in Vancouver? I know you've been watching.
Yeah, run them up. Run them up, Huss. You want to break Kone's leg and have that scrum on that tackle. 6 goals, most ever by a CONCACAF nation. Canada's men's first win. Eat it. Eat it. Let's go.
Yeah, I should mention Jonathan David's hat trick, and he was under a lot of pressure. The game in Toronto, he was not particularly good. He got subbed out for the first time ever by Jesse Marsh. He comes up, first CONCACAF player to have a hat trick in the World Cup since 1934. And if you look at the goal table right now, it's Lionel Messi and Jonathan David tied at the top of the group. And our guy Kyle with the C, Kyle Laren, he's just 1 goal back as well. So magical time. Good luck to your Turks today. They got a big one with Paraguay. That is a must win after the loss to the Aussies right off the bat. They really do need this one to assure themselves of a good chance of moving on into the 32.
Yeah, it's wild to see. Like, these are my country's teams, and I've so seldom seen them at the same events because Turkey used to qualify, Canada didn't. Now here we are. And the contrast is wild. Turkey is so skilled, They were all over Australia from a skill point of view, but there was some organizational issues. And Team Canada used to, for me, I worried about their organization. I worried about their composure and the variety of different ways that they scored against Qatar the other day. Like, that to me shows a team that's going to give the Swiss an awfully tough time. And for me, the Turks just need a little bit more structure with their skill, and they have it. So I hope that they too are running a team up today because they absolutely need it. And there's some really gifted, incredible, talented players, Arda Güler on that team especially, I would say, that I hope the world, like me, if you just get fired up every 4 years or every 2 years, there's some incredible Turkish players that I hope people get to see.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I've been running hot with my picks, and I'm on them today. So let's go Turkey a little later on. Murat, let's get right into the Hrabchak saga. Listen, there's been a lot of smoke. We've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks. More and more people saying, oh, they're hearing this. Very different than the Dylan Larkin, where it's reported an official trade request. Here are the teams. But the minute Darren Dreger started the media tour this week with some of the things that we know he's getting from the club, it tells me that this is happening. How would you characterize the situation right now with Hrabchak and the Jets and the likelihood that he will be moved?
Yeah, I think that your interpretation on Darren Dreger is exactly right. He's close with Kevin Cheveldayoff. They have been since it's either the late 80s or early 90s, right? Like, there have been times, and you said this on your show, where it's clear the Winnipeg Jets want to get a piece of information out into the world. Well, Darren Dreger is the one who they go to for that, and that's a human relationship that they have. So with him talking very precisely, the man is good at what he does, saying that Winnipeg is, like, make no mistake, they're open to entertaining these offers. Here's what Winnipeg would ideally get. He's sort of setting a public price. He's talking about a second-line center, help on defense. A little odd to talk about a fourth-line center as well, in my opinion, given that the options and also how insubstantial a 4C is as a trade piece. Like, let's be careful about the number of assets versus the quality, in my opinion. But Darren Dreger talking about this with such clarity, to me, says that the Winnipeg Jets are serious about the calls that they're getting. You'll also note that nobody's saying Winnipeg is making calls. I think Darren Dreger was precise about that as well. But there's clearly a culture right now where they're encouraging those calls and they're taking them. I think what you hear other insiders say, probably coming from other teams right now who make those calls and have those conversations. And for me, all I can say is that people who tell me things sometimes are clammed right up about this. And I think that gives it some seriousness as well. We may see Connor Hrabchak moved, depending on the offers.
Murat, I mean, on that, we're, lockstep on all of that. The one thing, and I said the same thing. I mean, we're talking about a 4C when we're talking about a Hrabchak package. Like, the one thing that hadn't been mentioned from Dreger in any of these clips is a first-round pick. And I don't know whether you just assume that that's part of the package, but I was a little surprised that there wasn't a specific mention outside of the 2C of futures in this. is that a fair read on this? Or do you think that if a deal eventually gets done, there probably is draft capital coming over to Winnipeg as well?
I think it's substantial because if you're talking about a second line center and a top four defenseman, I don't know that you're also getting a first round pick in addition to all that. I already think you're being ambitious if you're really believing not a maybe, but a certainty as a top six forward and a top four defenseman. Well, I don't know. Are you really getting into the top 10 with, Florida's number 9 overall pick or something to that effect? And I'm skeptical, right? Like even if Florida doesn't do Anton Lundell, Maki Samoskevich and the number 9 pick and Niko Mikkola, just to name a big top 4 defenseman that they have. I mean, I'm not sure, Huss. For me, the number one thing, regardless of Hellebuck's future, whether he's a Jet next year or not, the number one thing that Winnipeg needs to do this summer is pick a lane. And if we're not talking about futures, if there isn't some futures element coming back, then it's very much doubled down on the win now, we're competitive now, make it to the playoffs, chip in a chair kind of approach that the Jets have been known for. They'd really be betting on themselves. They'd really be betting that they can take the next step in a difficult Central Division, which to me, to my way of thinking, is an ambitious step. So it requires one of two things: either a follow-up move wherein the Jets do in fact acquire an average NHL starter, which is not guaranteed to be easy, or Winnipeg takes its shot and misses. Like the Jets, I don't think can fix every hole that they have with the Connor Hellebuck trade. So will they be more aggressive than we've ever seen them be, having follow-ups and contingencies and next steps? Or is this sort of just a half measure towards, okay, we've fixed our skater problems, but now we have some other issues to deal with. And that's compelling for me.
Yeah. And it's a great point because I guess I had always been of the mindset that Hellebuck was the linchpin to everything. And if they do trade Connor Hellebuck, it's such a significant move that probably lessens expectations in the short term. It probably is the first of a few dominoes. The first thing that would certainly happen, I would imagine, is a conversation with Josh Morrissey as to where his head is at looking ahead to next year. Obviously, I think less so with Scheifele and Connor. But if the Hellebuck trade happens, at the draft before July 1st, will it be what comes back in that trade that is the tell to you as to what we expect this team to be doing and their expectations for this year and what that might mean for the other star players of this core?
I think so. I think that if it's pure now players coming back, let's say they are, and I would consider it a success. If it's a legitimate and not a prayer for a top 6 forward and a top 4 defenseman, I think that's pretty good, to be honest. But I would see that as a bet on the now. I would see it as a bet on the current core. I would see it as an effort to I don't want to say placate because I don't know that they're upset, but like to assure Mark Scheifele, Josh Morrissey, Kyle Connor, those who have bought in, and with Morrissey who needs a contract soon in 2 years, that, hey, we're still on this ride. But it would have to come with follow-up moves, because if you make this trade and you enter the next season with the only Winnipeg Jets goaltenders under contract, you're talking about Dom DeVincentis, Thomas Milic, and Isaac Poulter. So you can't hand the crease to those guys and sell yourself as a competitive team. It would be incumbent upon Winnipeg to have a follow-up move. So I wouldn't feel like I knew what the Jets' future was if they pulled this trade off in the next few days before the draft. But it would set the stage instead for an incredibly stressful next week or so until July 1st and is over, and the dominoes fall from that.
One of the Murat's latest, by the way, at The Athletic, you should go check that out if you haven't already, is called "Why the Jets Should and Should Not Trade Franchise Goaltender Connor Hellebuck." And I will admit, I'm a big Helly guy. I mean, he's been so amazing to have on this team. He's been the rock. I mean, he's the greatest Jet, certainly of the 2.0 era. And you could argue the greatest player, certainly by personal awards and whatnot, to ever wear a Jet jersey. So, I mean, it's a huge loss. I will say, though, knowing that these things do happen, when I read your piece and said that one front office source suggested the market for Hellebuck, quote, could get stupid, it it does get exciting. Now, for that to happen, you really do need to have a number of players in. And what's interesting is that, he does have the full no move. Now, if you want to get traded, the better chance of doing that is have a number of options that you would like to go to that could be possibilities for the Winnipeg Jets. But I mean, any idea of if this deal, like Brian Hayes asked, is this a trade request or is this a Florida trade request? How many other teams might be able to get into the mix? And if that's the case, what could that do to the price?
Yeah, it gives Connor Hrabchak a lot of influence over Winnipeg's future, right? Like, if you go solely by what he said to us publicly, it kind of is, look, we need you to get competitive in a hurry. My patient isn't infinite. It didn't feel like a flat out, I need out of here. It said, like, let's figure this out because I need to win. And that's a different tenor. If he's gotten to the point behind the scenes where he's saying, well, geez, I don't see it here. Please figure this out. Well, one, I don't think that there's a move alive Winnipeg could make in that scenario to keep Connor Hrabchak happy. Like, if he's done, he's out, and certainly he hasn't said that in any public capacity. If he's constantly doing the dance where he's saying, hey, Winnipeg, are we good enough? Can we compete? If not, I need to go somewhere else. Like, that's a situation with an expiry date, and it's not tenable long-term. Like, oh, what? You convince them by you trade the number 8 for a second-line center, and all of a sudden we're going to try this again? Like, it inevitably ends in that scenario. When a heart goes away, it goes away. So then the question is exactly what you've asked, so I may as well answer what you've asked. I'm fired up here, Us. Connor Hrabchak will draw a bidding war if he is open to it. And there are some teams like, I don't know, Edmonton will have some cap issues, but Edmonton needs a goalie more than it needs anything else in the world. And it also is like on the precipice of cup or bust conversations. Is Connor Hrabchak going to waive to go to another Canadian team? I don't know. Even one that good. So you can take Ottawa out of the conversation as well. They just need a goalie. They're burned by Omar's lack of success so far, but they're a pretty good team. You can start crossing off teams as well. If it's Florida or bust, it really does take Winnipeg's leverage away. Because if you're Florida and you know that Lundell is not on the table, like it's not going to get to that. Buffalo, what a team. They could use a goalie. They've got some really good goaltending prospects, and they have, Bowen Byram, who they seem to be considering moving. Peyton Krebs, who I've talked about a lot as a player who could bump free. And all of a sudden you're saying, well, hold on. You can address the middle six, a top 4 type of defenseman sort of in a Hrabchak trade, but is Hrabchak going to waive for the Buffalo Sabres, which is a team that often joins the Canadian teams on no trade clauses? And Hrabchak has a full no movement. So if this is it, if this becomes it, then Hrabchak could influence Winnipeg's return in an enormous way. And that's the only frightening bit, even though this other front office member of a different team says, well, geez, everybody would be in on him. Hrabchak would have to be open to it. Well,
and listen, I think we're going to see how badly he wants to get traded. Now, I mean, to your point about what we heard from Hrabchak publicly, it was sort of a challenge to management, which was taken by most people, to get this right, do what we need to do this summer, and let's get back and be a contending team for the Cup. To then go and request a trade if it has happened before anything can even happen, to me is sort of, okay, maybe that really wasn't it. And Greg Wyshynski said maybe he, like a number of the American players on the gold medal team, are looking to just get back to the United States. And if that's the case, then maybe you've got a number of more landing spots. I mean, the thing is, if he's looking to go to one of these American teams that can take him on, that can pay the price, that is like that Vegas, Florida list, only so many players can be on those teams. So, I mean, we'll see about it. And I guess that will be the test as to how badly or willing he is to be moved, as to how many options there are for the Winnipeg Jets. Because, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that are expecting, like with all this talk, oh, this is going to happen imminently. I'm on the other side of things, Murat. I believe that will end eventually in a trade. But the one thing that the hill that I will die on is that Chevy's not going to be bullied or forced into doing anything. We know how he operates, and this could take a while for the Winnipeg Jets to get their price to trade a guy that has 5 years left committed to the organization.
5 years left on one of the best contracts in the league, as long as he ages well, right? Like $8.5 million now is like 6.4 2 years ago. It's like 5 million three. Like this is, it's probably, I wish I had done the actual math on this, but it's probably comparable to like what Brian Little made as a second line center during a much lower cap several years ago. You know what I mean? Like this, with the cap going up and up and up, is one of the best value deals, especially if he has anything approaching Vezina level in him. Now, of course, he did just post an 895. He did just miss roughly a month, had a knee procedure done. Obviously, was incredible for Team USA at the Olympics behind a superior defense to what Winnipeg offers. But he has to be good. If he's good and the world believes he's arrived, he's won the gold medal, he's shown the ability to win the big game, 1 year removed from the Hart Trophy, his third Vezina, all that sort of stuff. This is a player whose value with that contract should be as high as it ever gets. And your point about Cheveldayoff, literally his best work. Like if every GM had a highlight reel of like their best moves ever, player gets disgruntled, asks out, Winnipeg appears to be painted into a corner, and Winnipeg does well. That's Chevy's highlight reel. It's the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade with Laine and Roslovic going the other way, two players who had both wanted out. Well, you get Dubois and a third-round pick. Dubois got some contract left on him at the time. They get a couple years of a second-line center, and then him again. The LA trade, which everybody rates as a win, I think. That's two of his biggest highlight reels. Andrew Kopp, that one to New York, when you kind of knew that wasn't going to work out with Winnipeg. This is what Cheveldayoff has tended to do well. The grinding nature of his management's approach to these situations is a big asset. Sometimes it drives people nuts in terms of negotiating contracts, but it is a big asset when the situation calls for it. And it does right now.
Listen, you're bang on. And I mean, as we've talked about it, there's many differing opinions amongst the Jet fan base as to management and whatnot. But even the biggest critics of Cheveldayoff, I think, have to give him that he has done his best work in situations like this. And you might not like what's happened over the past year, but this is a guy that has done very, very well in similar situations. And that expectation more than ever will be to do exactly that, which is why it might take a little longer than some people hope or expect. Just before we go, Murat, considering what we're hearing, we are a week away from the first round of the draft next week in Buffalo. In your opinion, what are the chances that there is a trade for Connor Hrabchak in the next 7 days?
I want to say 50-50. I don't know. Like, the thing in all of this that I don't know is the degree to which Hrabchak has, through his agent or directly to the team, said, listen, I just don't see it here. I don't know that. And I also don't know the degree to which the Jets have, I don't know if I've got the right phrase here, but taken it personally that he criticized the path or the team's ability to recruit players or what have you. Like, I don't know what the actual emotions are in this. So that for me is a sense of how much pressure or urgency there is if anybody's kind of acting on tilt here. But even with that stuff aside, the draft does tend to be a place where a lot of business gets done. It's where, it was the pat on my back here, but like, I broke the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade return from the Los Angeles Kings. I did that from the draft, right? Like, this is when stuff happens. So even though I don't feel like things are imminent, it is one of the pressure points of transactions on the NHL calendar. And I think it's at least realistic to consider.
You mentioned the feelings too. I mean, we heard it yesterday. We heard it again from Dreger. They mentioned the loyalty that this organization has to their staff and players. But if you don't want to be here, we'll make that happen. Essentially, we don't want disgruntled people here. We do want to make that happen. We want to move forward with people that want to be Winnipeg Jets. And if you're not in line with that, they'll make it happen. It's going to be a real interesting week, Murat. Just before we go, fill people in on the piece that we just referenced in The Athletic right now.
Yeah, it's 5 good reasons why Winnipeg actually should do this. Why Winnipeg should recruit the best offer it can and then make a move that involves the best player, like you said, to ever wear their jersey, the only Hart Trophy winner, right? And that's a big deal. Also making arguments why they should keep him, i.e. literally their best player, and in his good years, the biggest impact on Winnipeg's ability to win. We go through it all because this isn't a black and white scenario, and there are some things that we simply don't know. Even if we knew it all, he demanded that he was on his way out, or if he begged them to keep him forever, there are pros and cons to keeping a star caliber 33-year-old netminder with 5 years left on his deal, with the Winnipeg's window kind of flagging right now. And so we just wanted to get into all of it with a little bit of nuance so people can think their own way through the situation.
Looking forward to our chat next week, Murat. There'll be a lot to get to. In the meantime, head to The Athletic and check out Murat's latest on the Hellebuck situation. You have yourself a great weekend and enjoy the game tonight. I hope your Turks get the win. Have a good one, pal.
Hope you're bang on my bet.
All right, we're going to get to the upcoming week in the Canadian Football League for a few minutes with Ben Kramer coming up next on WST. Thursday is not only the Blue Bombers home opener. Hey, Ben, how's it going? But it's the start of the World Cup, and Friday, Canada plays its first game on home soil Friday afternoon. Get down to Royal Sports and get geared up for the World Cup, with the best selection of Canada merchandise you will find anywhere, as well as all the top teams from the FIFA World Cup. They are ready to go. They got hats, scarves, jerseys, your favorite players on Team Canada, and more. And it's all waiting for you at Royal Sports. And Friday, mandatory wear red day from coast to coast to get behind the team. So get down to Royal Sports. While you're there, you can check out their massive selection of soccer, softball, baseball, tennis, running, everything you need to get outside and dominate summer. Not to mention, in the back, a massive selection of bikes. Tons of different models, styles, including e-bikes. Royal Sports has it all. So get ready for the World Cup and take advantage of the beautiful Manitoba summer with a trip to Royal 750 Pembina Highway. Make sure to follow them on Instagram as well at Royal Sports Pembina for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. Should be a fun week for the Fish. They continue this long homestand tonight. Little off day today, and then tomorrow, kicking off a series which will, of course, be $2 Tuesdays, one of the new features this year out at the ballpark. There is a whole bunch of deals to got. $2 hot dogs, a $2 lemonade, so much more. It's also country night, so think about heading out there tomorrow. It's also shirt off their backs night on Thursday night against Cleburne, and they've also got a 6:30 start tomorrow night before the team hits the road. So busy weekend. And we should also mention, if you go to the Goldeye site, we're going to have Andrew Collier on to talk about this coming up in a little bit. But for those of you that like beer, of course, we had the Flatlanders Beer Festival a couple years ago. The Ballpark Brew Fest returns July 18th. More information and a link to buy tickets for that right now online at goldeyes.com. We got a lot of fun stuff cooking with our friends at Travel Manitoba this week. And we're actually going to head down and be doing our show on Thursday from the Visitors Information Center at the Forks. Really looking forward to that. But if you are planning your next adventure, thinking about this summer, start with Travel Manitoba. Whether you're searching for road trip inspiration, hidden gems, or the latest festivals and events, everything you need is waiting for you at travelmanitoba.com. We're looking for ideas on the go. Follow along on social media at Travel Manitoba for real-time inspiration, local tips, and can't-miss experiences from across the province. Or if you prefer a personal touch, stop by stop by the Visitor Information Center at the Forks in Winnipeg. And tomorrow, they are back at the track at Assiniboia Downs, live racing this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. post time. Man, we had a good time last Wednesday out at the races. They'll also do it next Tuesday and Wednesday, and then mark down June 22nd. That's the next Monday night of racing, and they've got some incredible Monday deals, including very similar to the $2 of the Gold Eyes on Tuesdays. Popcorn, hot dogs, soft drinks, all at big time concession discounts. Make a night of it. And by the way, if you're thinking about a Monday to go, I have already circled July 13th to go take advantage of those deals, but also because there will be wiener dog racing. Yes, you heard me right, at the track on July 13th. So while it's nice outside, get out to the track out on the west side of the city, asdowns.com for more information, and you are encouraged to try and get a spot in that clubhouse dining room. Take advantage of that amazing prime rib buffet on nights of live racing as well. Again, AS Downs for all that information. We'll get back to our picks tomorrow when we fire it up on WST. All right, we got a crazy 24 hours or so coming up in the Canadian Football League. We got a big one tonight, BC Hamilton, and then a triple header tomorrow. Let's bring in the guru of the 3-down game, our pal. You can follow him on X at Benny Yamen. It's Ben Kramer. Ben, what's up? How you doing?
Yes, it's great. We finally get some CFL again. It's weird having the Thursday off because it kind of compresses it all. And this is the first time we're getting 4 games in a weekend, even though it's week 3, right? So it's going to feel like an absolute deluge over the course of the next 24 hours. But for those of us who like football, it's going to be quite a 24 hours on Father's Day weekend.
Well, it's kind of funny that we've got this BC Hamilton game tonight because for everyone that missed the game last night, we might have the amount of points that we'd get in 2. The total for this game is 59, pushing 60. And I guess we look back at the game between these two teams last year. I believe it went to overtime at 38 all. Will this one be the score fest that everyone seems to be expecting? And that should be a big time game for fantasy players as well.
Yeah, like all signs point to big points, you'd think at the beginning. But like plays per game are up about 5% this year compared to last. It's a 2-week sample size, so it's small. But offenses are getting more chance to put the ball in play. And then both these offenses are heavily pass-oriented. Play calling somewhere around 65-70% passing, and they both have passed that are a whole lot yards per opportunity so far this year. So everything points there. But yeah, that 59-point total is probably the highest I've ever seen in my life. I was talking with Adam Chernoff earlier this week about the total, and he was going through some of the math. And yeah, I think this is the biggest number we've ever seen. So whether they're able to hit the over here or not is going to be interesting, especially with the health of the BC receiving core. With them having lost Javon Catoy, Stan Berryhill, and then maybe Keon Hatcher as well, who's a game-time decision, they'll have a lot of rookies out there who are playing receiver. And if it all falls on McInnes's shoulders, it'll be interesting to see whether BC can actually keep up the pace scoring or whether it becomes something that slows down a little bit in the running games.
I can't help but think, and I'm interested in your perspective on this from a betting standpoint, that with the amount of receivers that might not be available for Nathan Rourke, might we see a big game for number 12 doing it himself on the ground?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Like the projections had him about 34 yards rushing today, and I think that's what most of the books had for Rourke rushing numbers. Really interesting what has been seeing James Butler. He opened at 55.5 rushing yards, and he's up into the 60s somewhere now. The lines have progressively gone up, and we have him projected around 72.5 rush yards this week in the matchup. Hamilton has been susceptible to getting run on, and if BC has to run more without the receivers that they're used to in their receiving core, then yeah, he could have a big game tonight. Which I guess is great for your fantasy team, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, the infamous pick, Rankin, get Butler will be a topic throughout the year in our league this year. But hey, he did get into the end zone a couple times. Nice to see. I didn't know you could actually do this in the CFL still. Give a running back the ball on the 1-yard line and have him score a touchdown.
They had made it illegal about 10 years ago, but with the new commissioner in there, he decided to open it back up again and let them get carries inside the 5. It's good for stars in the league.
Hey, I mean, both from just a straight up football perspective, as well as if you're betting totals, fantasy, It sounds like the weather for these two games tomorrow in Alberta is going to be gnarly. Fill us in, and what effect do you think that'll have on those two matchups?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be wild. Like, it's Weather Canada. Who knows what it'll actually turn into? But right now in Edmonton, they're looking at winds forecast 50 to 60 kilometers an hour, and probably somewhere in the area of 20 to 30 millimeters of rain during thunderstorms. And playing a football game through that's a mess. Calgary is slightly less on the rain side, but the winds might even be higher in the 55 to 65K. And there is nothing that hurts offenses more than wind. The new gloves that receivers and quarterbacks can use pretty well mitigates the effects of rain for the most part. But once the winds get up over about 25, 30 kilometers an hour, you start to see a real dip in their ability to complete passes, and the yards per attempt go way down. So yeah, we're looking at something where offenses might lose a full yard per attempt on the passing attack. And usually completions go down about 3 to 5% over what your expectations are too. So if this weather does come to pass, we could see a couple of real slogs out there in the West.
The early game in the East, and this one's starting at noon tomorrow. The games, by the way, are noon, 3, and 6. So you gotta if you're not a big World Cup guy, you want a North American brand of football, the 3-down game. You're in for a treat tomorrow. We saw the Argos in their first game of the year look incredible offensively. It wasn't enough to beat Davis Alexander and the Montreal Alouettes. But they go into Ottawa to take on Jake Maier and the Red Blacks, and of course their former coach Ryan Dinwiddie. And really, of the first couple weeks of the season, I mean, there's been brilliant QB play. There's been tons of points, except in Ottawa. What do you make of this matchup? And of course, the very unique revenge game, if you will, from both the former coach and the former team.
Yeah, it's one of the funny things in a small league that no matter where guys go, it's always a revenge game, right? You're not going to be able to get through an entire season without seeing the old friends again. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like, Jake Maier really absolutely flopped in his debut with Ottawa. He came out and he passed for just 6 yards per attempt. And even his career average is about 7.7. So even by his standards, it was pretty bad in that first game. So I expect there will be some positive regression for him, and Ottawa should get better, or he's not going to last very long. He's going to have to do more than that for Dinwiddie in his passing attack. And they've got Drew Brown still hanging around there, and there's been a lot bad said about him in the last couple of months leading into camp, but I think he's probably still the superior passer. And if Maier struggles, he probably doesn't have a very long leash. For Toronto, yeah, Chad Kelly looks fantastic. His yards per attempt were really good. The completion percentage was bad, but in many ways, a lot of that was the fault of Mackay Polk and DeMonte Cox. He only caught 6 of 19 targets in that week 2 matchup. When your top 2 receivers are only catching 30% of their targets, it's going to be tough to win. And still, Toronto put it in within reasonable expectations of getting the job done versus maybe the best team in the league. So I think with Ottawa tonight, they're really going to struggle to keep Toronto in check. Probably Coxie and Polk have locked in a little bit better over the course of another week of practice. And Toronto's probably going to move the ball with pretty significant ease tonight.
Ben, before we go, I mean, we're always talking props and fantasy. I just got to ask you about the game. When Dustin Nielsen and I were doing our picks on the Lock Shop earlier this week, the game that we both had the hardest time deciding on and ended up on opposite sides was the finale tomorrow night, Riders and Stamps in Calgary. Where are you at on this game, just as far as who will win?
Yeah, you'd have to split me in half and say that I'm picking on both sides, right? Because as far as it looks, I think the line is still -1 for Saskatchewan on CoolBet right now, and I think that probably does them the favor of being the defending champs and saying they deserve the benefit of the doubt. The Calgary offense is still really kind of hamstrung with the receiving core that they've got. It's going to be tougher to take advantage of some of the Saskatchewan injuries in the secondary just because there's not many weapons for them to look at. But you'll certainly see a guy like Tyreek McAllister, I think, work kind of a jackknife option in that Calgary offense where he gets some carries, he gets some targets, tries to work special teams, and might be that kind of X factor that they're looking for that can make a difference. Because I think if Calgary keeps it low scoring, then probably they're going to win. But if Saskatchewan can manage to get the ball moving through the air, then it looks good for them. The big opposition they're going to have to face, though, is that wind in Calgary. That's probably going to hamper both the passing attacks.
Ben, for CFL fans that want more of what you are cooking when it comes to lines and fantasy and all that, fill people in on where they can get it all.
Yeah, we've got everything that you need to win your fantasy league and win at props betting for CFL players on onsidefantasy.substack.com. We'd love to have you there, be a part of the conversation in the Discord, and get you everything you need to enjoy the season.
Ben, enjoy what should be a great week in the Canadian Football League. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, you bet. Good talking to you, Huss.
All right, right on. There is Ben Kramer. All right. We got marbles open, and again, it's not guaranteed that we're going to pull this off. But I am confident. I'm confident that we will.
Me too.
Have a marble race.
Yeah.
Connor is as well. We'll get to that. We'll get to the lines as well. Can tell you, USA looking great again. They're up 2-0 on the Socceroos, the Aussies right now, just approaching halftime. We'll hit World Cup and more. I'm looking forward to seeing what Saw's got to say about that. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton next. And then we will get to the cool bet lines and marbles here on WST. Getting into our Breezy Bend golf report, we have the RBC Canadian Open this week. Pat Gregoire will join me tomorrow. We'll dive into our favorite picks and plays for the RBC Canadian Open. But I do want to, while we're talking about Breezy, give a big shout out to Breezy Bend's Braxton Kuntz, who played in yesterday's longest day in golf, the 36-hole U.S. Open qualifier against a ton of players on the PGA Tour. Braxton was phenomenal, finished at 8 under par, missing by just 1 stroke. So a bit of a heartbreaker for the young pro out of Breezy Bend, but big things ahead for Braxton Kuntz. So had to give him a hat tip on this. Of course, Canadian Open week, always a big one for Canadian golf. We'll look forward to catching it. In the meantime, if you want to get out on one of the best golf courses in the city and are thinking about making a long-term home for you and your family at one of Winnipeg's top private courses, check out breezybend.ca or give a call to the clubhouse at 895-7205. Speaking of great things to do in the summer like golf, if you are into fishing, you're going to want to check out Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge. Nothing like a trip to Aikens where you can be on the water after a short flight in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg. And as incredible as the world-class fishing is, the world-class hospitality is even better. Although I did see on the Aikens Instagram feed last night that a young kid, could not have been more than 12 or 13 years old, put together 3 straight century clubs and multiple master angler walleyes. The fish are biting at Aikens right now. Check out aikenslake.com for more information on availabilities for the rest of the 2026 fishing season. And just as we continue, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, it's not a proper Friday on WST without a chat with our pal Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, who joins us now. And we talk a lot of football on this program, but how about the football, or soccer as we call it? Man, has the World Cup been great, and Canada's rolling, and so are the Yanks right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's just celebrate the first week with Canada scoring its first goal and then potting 6 more goals in the second match. Team USA is sledgehammering their way to winning this group. Team Mexico, south of me here, has just posted back-to-back impressive wins, and I don't think they've played their best soccer because their goal scorers yet to really get it in gear. I mean, this has been a fascinating first week, and I sit here and I'm just mesmerized by the talent level. And I'll tell you how wild it was. I flipped on the TV the other day because I was writing a lot of stuff on my website, and the first game is just moving along, and I see Mbappe score 2 goals in 10 minutes. So I go off and do more writing, more projects. Come back to the second game, Messi scores a hat trick while I'm watching. Then I'm watching Harry Kane of England pot 2 goals in about 20 minutes. I mean, so I've been gifted by seeing the greatest players the globe has to offer, and they all score goals in the greatest tournament of all time. It's just been electric. And the pregame ceremonies, the pomp, the circumstance, the anthems, the fans, the chants, the noise level, it's America and global fans have turned out. So far, it's just been tremendous.
Yeah, I mean the fans really do make this event. I mean, we've seen all the scenes from Boston with the Tartan Army from Scotland have been so cool. And I just saw a video online of a Scottish woman that just did about a 2 to 3 minute video just thanking the people of Boston about how magical the week has been for all of them. And I'll tell you what, the Boston people, I think they've had such a miserable sports run right now with the Red Sox stinking the way they have. Everyone at Fenway wants to keep the Scots there because that's the only way Red Sox games are any fun anymore when with the Tartan Army there. But I mean, overall, the tournament has been off to an incredible start. There was a lot of skepticism as to, making it a 48 team. Would it be watered down? I think we've seen with the amazing draws and performances from some of the real underdogs so far that it has been a huge win. And you're exactly right. I mean, for the CONCACAF teams and the 3 host teams to all be on the verge of winning their groups is massive for soccer in North America. But overall, this is the world game. This is the world coming together. And whether you're in Toronto or Vancouver or in Mexico or in LA and Philly and DC and Boston, it is bringing everyone together, and it has been absolutely spectacular. Just quickly, you mentioned the Messi hat trick. How about that? Arrowhead Stadium, Mahomes' house, 2 of the biggest Adidas guys on the planet. And then Messi rolls in and does, with Pat watching, goes for the historic hat trick, all-time goal leader for the World Cup. He's doing it. He's 38 years old, Hacksaw. It is truly spectacular. And I mean, every one of those goals was absolutely world-class.
Yeah, and this might be a farewell tour, though he has not actually said that at this point in time, but very, very impressive. And I will tell you, past World Cups, when I was first exposed to World Cups, I was really turned off by the diving and all my leg is broken, we're on the stretcher out on the pitch and all that. These guys now, they don't tolerate that anymore, but it's very physical. It's very athletic. The goalkeepers, the wicked shots, the velocity on these shots, the goaltenders with traffic in front of them, making saves point blank. It's been unbelievable. And I don't know if there's an explanation how Cape Verde, which is the size of Rhode Island, how Cape Verde could play to a tie against, was it Spain? How is that humanly possible? And Brazil, legendary Brazil. I think Pele would have had an opinion on this. Brazil not winning its first game. So we've had some surprises here. This will all sort itself out as we move through the rest of group play. And then obviously we motor into the knockout round, but it's been cool. And the other thing that's fascinating from a broadcasting standpoint, Hustler, I sit here and I'm just enthralled listening to the pregame festivities with the roundtable discussion, because it's not people we know. They all don't speak the language that we're used to. And you really have to focus in and pay attention to their delivery and the statements they're making, because sometimes they don't quite link a noun and a verb. It's been fascinating to watch that. And the play-by-play and the color analyst have been spectacular. I mean, what a great first week we've experienced here. Yeah. This thing is beyond anything that I really expected.
I will say the vocabulary on the play-by-play guys is so phenomenal. My good friend Dustin Nielsen, who is the play-by-play voice of the CFL for Friday Night Football, we do a show every day, and I was talking to him earlier this week about whether he's picking up some of the sayings from the soccer announcers, and if he can weave that into some CFL games. So if anyone is watching Friday Night Football tonight and Dusty talks about Nathan Rourke throwing a venomous strike into the end zone, you'll know where that came from. It's been awesome though. USA looking good. Canada, biggest game in our country's history. Next Wednesday, a tie will win the group for Canada and keep the Canadians home in Vancouver for the round of 32. And if they win, for the round of 16. Hacksaw, quickly, let's hit the NFL offseason. Wide receiver talent is crucial to winning. Often it comes with problems, issues off the field. AJ Brown, no longer a problem. Brandon Ayuk, still a problem. Washington looking for a receiver. Eagles looking to add another one as well. Let's touch on some of the key wide receiver stories right now as we get closer to training camps opening.
Well, we got Philadelphia has made contact with the agent representing Tyreek Hill. Now, Hill, of course, is recovering from the dislocated kneecap. Kansas City had conversation, but at this point in time, it does not appear that he's ready to go to anybody's camp. But yet the Eagles, who have added 5 wide receivers, knowing full well they were going to move A.J. Brown in the trade to New England, the Eagles are touching bases with Tyreek Hill. You know, they could sign him. They could bring him in, let him continue to rehab, and sometime during the course of the season, see how much gas he has left in the tank. So keep an eye on that story.
He'll go to the Chiefs, won't he? Like, if Tyreek Hill's going to play this year, it's going to be with Mahomes in Kansas City, won't it be?
Well, anything's possible. Anything's possible. But Philadelphia's the ones made the latest contact. If Kansas City were interested, why did they not move him and sign him into a contract and let him do all the rehab under the surveillance of all their team physicians? So we'll just see what happens with Tyreek Hill. Stephon Diggs, who's bounced all over the roadmap, he's got a lot of problems off the floor, off the field. Stephon Diggs is talking to Washington, and he might be the guy that's going to beat Brandon Ayuk into the Commanders organization. Now, Ayuk has acted so rudely and so crudely towards the 49ers. I'm starting to think he's toxic. I'm starting to think he's committing professional suicide by the way he's acting and his entourage and what he's not doing and what he's supposed to be doing. And the 49ers can't trade him because nobody wants him. And even if you pick him up, are you willing to inherit him? He's almost, to me, he's starting to act like Antonio Brown. And we all know how that ended for that former star wide receiver, as he just kind of self-destructed with the Raiders after he left the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that bears watching. You know, just a couple of other quick notes. Another wide receiver. You remember the name Henry Rugg, former #1 draft pick Raiders? He's in prison. He was involved in a horrible drunk driving manslaughter accident, killed a woman. He was doing 156 miles an hour in the middle of the night drunk when he rear-ended her car. Well, he was sentenced to 3 to 10 years. Well, he's been in prison 3 years. He asked for early release and parole. He's been a model prisoner, and the judge turned him down. So he is still in the slam. He's trying to resuscitate his NFL career, but he needs to be out of prison to be able to do all the things he needs to do in terms of training. And the judge says, no, he committed a horrible crime that killed a woman at 156 miles an hour. I'm not going to release you at this point in time. So he's back in prison for probably another year. And we got a bit of tragedy to deal with, this terrible, sad story involving a great pass rusher with mental health issues. Remember the name Aldon Smith, #1 draft pick, San Francisco 49ers, really good linebacker.
Oh, he was a killer.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. He dropped dead. He was only 36 years of age. Now, first 2 years with the 49ers, tremendous player, but then he started to encounter a lot of problems off the field. There were mental health issues. There were bad decisions, DUIs. There was some drugs involved. His behavior became very erratic. He was suspended 4 times by the league. He'd been arrested a total of 9 times, and he was out of the NFL within his 4th or 5th year. And sadly, he became a guy living on the streets. He died, we believe, of a heart attack. The 49er people say a young man with great heart, young man with great problems. There's a story that's been written that he was delivering food to a homeless shelter. That's what he was doing in his post-football career, serving other people. Went back to his car after making a delivery, and we're led to believe he had a heart attack in the car. But he had so many problems, and he was so gifted. He had 25 sacks in his first 2 years in the NFL with San Francisco, and then he got overwhelmed by all these problems. The family has sent his brain to the Boston University Clinic, which does the research on CTE, and I am sure within a couple of months' time, when we get the documentation, he probably had CTE, but he was only 36 years of age. And the other story, this involves this whole Brendan Sorsby quarterback crisis. I don't know if you followed it north of the border. The Texas Tech quarterback who gambled on games and was barred from the NCAA and sued the NCAA, and a judge gave him an injunction to allow him to play. And the NCAA says, no, he violated our bylaws. And they put together documentation, went to a state judge and told the state judge, our bylaw 3.6 says if you gamble on athletics, you are expelled from college football. And if Texas Tech tries to use the lower court injunction to play him, we're going to drop the hammer on Texas Tech. And they gave the judge a point-by-point thing of what they would do to Texas Tech. And Texas Tech, which had been supporting Brendan Sorsby, the quarterback who transferred in from Cincinnati, in 24 hours' time, walked away from the quarterback. And I was told, I only read a piece of the document, that NCAA informed Texas Tech, if you activate this player, if you play this game, we will impose $40 million of sanctions against the university, and we will go get that president of that university to resign. And they did it at Baylor. They're going to do it at Texas Tech. And within 24 hours, Texas Tech backed away, held a meeting with Sorsby, and told him, you're not going to be allowed to play here. Now, he's a pilot. He's going to apply for the supplemental draft, Hustler, that'll be coming up in the early part of July. Some clubs need quarterbacks, but Cleveland, which is desperate at quarterbacks, already said, we're not going to draft him. He's kind of toxic. There's a real problem there. Arizona, I'm told, is interested. Minnesota, which has quarterback quandary, might be interested. A guy you draft and develop and at the same time counsel and grow for this gambling addiction. So it could be interesting to see where the story goes. But what the NCAA did to Texas Tech, and all the conferences around the country stood up next to the NCAA and said, you need to drop the hammer on Texas Tech. They should not be allowed to let this guy play. This kid made 9,000 bets in a 4-year span, and it was turned in by one of the gambling syndicates as a red flag. And he lied to the University of Cincinnati. He lied to Indiana. They had a gambling addiction. All of a sudden, voila, he was going to Texas Tech, and this is the end result. It's really been a messy story this side of the border, but that's an interesting story because next year's draft is loaded with quarterbacks. But would somebody take a gamble? Because this kid threw 82 touchdown passes in 4 years as a starter. Would somebody take a gamble on a kid who's obviously got an addiction problem, a mental health issue that they say is being addressed? So that's a long answer to your question about the Sorsby story, but this bears watching because there's no doubt that kid's a big talent, but that his kid's got a big problem.
Saw, always great catching up with you. The second half is just about to start. We'll let you get back to the beautiful game. Have a great sports weekend. There's so much going on. Haven't even hit the U.S. Open. I'm going to get to the leaderboard as well before marbles. Have a great one. Crack a cold one. Enjoy the footy. We'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Monday, NBA draft, and just around the corner, here comes NHL free agency, the NHL draft, and obviously a whole pile of trades. I'm sure we'll be touching on that too. And check my website and my podcast because I write about it, talk about it all the time. Hey, 1919 to you guys north of the border in the old Canada Network.
LeeHacksawHamilton.com is where you'll find it all. Make sure to follow and give a sub over on YouTube. Have a good one, Lee.
My pleasure.
There it is, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. I did promise we'd do a quick look at what's happening out at Shinnecock at the U.S. Open. Wyndham Clark, 69 today after an incredible 6 under 64 in those conditions yesterday. He's got a 3-shot lead, but a few of our picks are very live. Matt Fitzpatrick, 3 under. Xander Schauffele, 3 under. The people's golfer, Harry Higgs, is 4 under through 11. He's at 3 under right now as well. Morikawa in the clubhouse at 2 under. Rory is at 2 under right now. Ones include Justin Thomas, Sam Burns, Keegan Bradley, Ludwig Oberg, and looking to see Tommy Fleetwood's even. He's playing right now. Looking to see Corey Connors had a nice round today. I mean, still right there. He's +1. Where is Scotty Scheffler? Scotty Scheffler is even so far through 5 holes. He is +2 on the day. Just looking to see where our guy Sudarshan is. He had a 3. Ooh, it looks like he will not play the weekend. He was 3 over yesterday, 2 over today. The projected cut line is 4 over par, but I think there is absolutely the potential that could move to 5. So we'll cross our fingers that it will be the case. And if that is the case, we'll see Sudarshan playing the weekend, Bryson DeChambeau, Victor Hovland, Ryan Gerard, Billy Ho, and a few others that hope to be part of that out at Shinnecock at the U.S. Open. All right, Connor, if you want to get the names together, I will take a look at the Coolbet lines right now for this evening in the Canadian Football League and the World Cup. We've been talking World Cup, as I mentioned. USA is up 2-0, just getting into the second half. Tonight, 5 p.m., the Tartan Army and Morocco in Boston. What a scene that will be. Morocco's the favorite, minus 143. Scotland plus 520. And a draw at plus 270. We get a chance to see the Brazilians beat up on Haiti. Brazil, 2-goal favorites at minus 112. They're minus 833 to win. I do like Brazil to win by 3 or more, so I'm going to be taking the Brazil minus 2. And then Murat squad, the Turks, going up against Paraguay in the night game, 10 p.m. start. Turkey plus 110, draw plus 245, Paraguay plus 290. Paraguay looked terrible against the U.S. in their opening game. They got absolutely smoked. Turkey lost to the Socceroos of Australia. They have to have this one. I like Turkey at plus 110. And as far as the Canadian Football League goes, we have had a little bit of line movement. This BC Hamilton game, which earlier in the week was basically a pick 'em, Hamilton's now 2-point favorites and minus 147 on the money line. The BC Lions plus 120. That speaks to the injury issues that they've got at the receiver position. For tomorrow's game, Ottawa opened as a favorite. Toronto's now a 1.5-point favorite. Minus 125 on the money line, plus 103 for the Red Blacks. Alouettes 3-point favorites against the Elks. And pick them between the Riders and Stamps. Saskatchewan minus 1, but minus 115 on the money line. Calgary minus 105. Don't forget to get your picks in. If you haven't already, you still got time to get your picks in for the Coolbet Weekly CFL Pick'em under Coolbet Leagues. And for those of you that went in the golf contest, make sure tonight to get your picks in. Friday night into Saturday is often the time where people forget to make their picks, and it's tough to win when you don't get your picks in. If you do go to the combo cards, though, we do have a few things. First of all, Super Boost. Well, we'll get to the exclusives in just a minute. They've got a bunch of props up for the soccer games today. Our Week 3 boost for CFL 110 is still up. We got BC, Toronto, Saskatchewan to win. Nice number on that one. Plus 641, boosted to plus 737. And if we check into the exclusives, I know we've got some, the Canada Soccer Daily Boost. Canada right now is minus 175. It's boosted to plus 101. So if you want a piece of Canada, that's essentially a bet on Canada to win or draw in their next game against the Swiss. It is right there in the World Cup boost, the Canada Soccer Daily Boost over at Coolbet. And if you missed at the start of the show, we are sending somebody to Estonia to play in the Coolbet Open. An incredible trip, be in a beautiful hotel, entry into the big tourney, some parties and dinners, a poker golf event. Join us. We've got 4 qualifying tournaments. The first one is next Tuesday, the 23rd of June. The second one is Wednesday, July 8th, 8 p.m. as well. You can mark this down. Tuesday, July 21st is the third qualifier, and the last chance qualifier is Wednesday, August 5th. All the games go at 8 p.m. The top 2 finishers in each of these tourneys will go into the final on the 11th or 12th of August. And whoever is the last man standing is going to get an all expenses paid trip out to Estonia for the Coolbet Open. Unbelievable trip. We'll see you on Tuesday for our next, or the first, I guess, date of the WST Poker Series. If you've got friends that like playing poker, that think they want to take a shot at the big boys, let them know it's 8 p.m. over at CoolBet. Click on poker, go to tournaments, and just search WST. It'll pop up. And of course, we will have the $100 bounties on my head, Jeff Hamilton's head, and Michael Remus's head as well. And if you haven't played at CoolBet, use the promo code WST. When you're making your first deposit, we'll double it up to $200. All right, Connor, how are we looking for a little marble action?
I think we're looking okay. We're at the part of the show where we're going to see if it works or if it fails spectacularly, but we're getting names. I'm getting everyone in. Should be good to go. I also have a marble song. We got Tristan Rivers music. I gotta show up here, Huss. I gotta do my best. So yeah, this is a great show though. I'm glad everything went smoothly, but I know this is the moment.
So far, so good. As I said, you know what? We're going to give it our best without the CTO here today.
Yeah.
If we fail spectacularly, at least you know that we are doing our best for the people of WST. By the way, I got to give a quick shout out. Jet Oil Tom.
Yes.
Isha Boy Bruce. Great. You just missed those cats. You had just
I saw Jet Oil Tom, but
you did see Jet Oil Tom.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Bruce came in. The lads had a great afternoon and evening at the bar top at BP after we finished the show, watching the game together.
Nice.
What an awesome afternoon. And we'll see whether we might do something similar and definitely have an earlier show on Wednesday because that game's at 2:00 and no one's going to be watching WST when Canada is taking on Switzerland in the biggest match ever. All right. Let's see what happens. Marbles theme, Tristan Rivers music, and then we'll see how this goes on WST.
It's Friday!
All right, TRM, Marbles theme is good times. And yes, Donnie Boy, WST live from Estonia. Don't think that might not happen. I'm looking forward to seeing how that all shakes out. But again, next Tuesday, June 23rd, first poker tourney, 8 p.m. Let's do it. All right, Connor, what we're going to do, let's go Slippery Slopes, a nice classic track, which hopefully will be good to follow because the skill of the marbles is first getting it ready to go, but then being able to see what happens.
Yes. So, well, Huss, isn't this the part of the show where we're supposed to, rant about board ads or how the CFL tracks their stats?
Yeah. Do you have any things that are bugging you right now that we can stretch this
Do
out?
I have a
I do want to
Remo
watch
rant?
the second half of the USA game.
Do I have a Remo rant?
Let's have a Remo rant for that guy on Qatar that broke Kone's leg.
Yeah.
Definitely not getting a marble.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, I'm closing the names. I see in chat it says the Nightbot said Frosty won the giveaway. That's not. This is just the way that I'm collecting the names. So
yeah,
we have
if
to
you
still
somehow
do
win the marble race, we'll know that the Nightbot has something cooking with the marbles on stream thing. Good luck. T Will. Wait, Frosty pre-won?
No.
Rigged.
We gotta watch the marble race, folks. Here we go.
I do like the fact that Matt Hyman said Estonia, like from Encino Man. I will be honest, that is the only thing I knew of Estonia before working with CoolBet. Because yes, the Encino Man was from Estonia in the famed Encino Man movie. But Connor, let's fire this up.
Okay, yeah, I am getting the names in.
Can you also put me in all caps, please?
Yes, I can. for sure. Okay. Yeah, this might take me a second here. So if you want to maybe
No
tap
problem.
dance here, give me a
Jakes,
sec.
couple of other things. I do love the yeah, how about that? Big Oil Tom Huss jersey win last night was awesome. They did some great promos and giveaways at BP. Every time Canada was scoring, someone was winning a bucket hat or spinning the BP prize wheel. And then Callista, the lovely Callista there said, you know what? If we score again, we're giving away a jersey. That happened. My ticket ended up getting called. So I got a sweet black. Actually, here, while you do this, I think it's right here. I'll show it off.
Yeah, show it off. Why not? This is just getting loaded up here. And then I think we'll be good to go.
Oh, I have one other thing that we can do too. But yes, look at these.
Oh,
there we go. The
nice.
Sweet black jersey. I've got the red and the white. Now we got the full kit.
Yeah.
And then actually, here's one other thing we'll do just while you get this up, get this ready.
Yeah.
So not to rush you. Unboxing, special unboxing on WST.
It's Friday. Where do people have to go? We got all day.
We are unboxing. This has been a big week for collector cups.
Yeah.
For those of you that have looked, I got a really cool collector cup at the Bosnia-Canada game that said, you know, the date of the game with the countries on it. There's been some cool beer collector cups that you can get at Boston Pizza, which I got a few of. But I'm really into the McDonald's World Cups, the FIFA World Cup combos. And I got one and I didn't open it. So when you get it, you get this thing. And maybe people are just going to try and keep them for a long time and then sell them after the fact. This one's getting opened. Let's see who I got
let's get
in my McDonald's collector cup.
Yeah, here we go.
While we get ready.
Yeah.
Here we go. Live on it. Who do we have? Oh, Thierry
Henry. Wow. Look at that.
Very cool.
Look at
that. At Thierry Henry. And that goes. So I now have 3. Here are the other ones that I have. The first one I got, this one is so cool. The man, Tottenham Hotspur, Korea, Son.
Nice.
These are neat and they're good quality. And then this, I was so fired up to get this one. Brazilian legend, Ronaldinho.
Oh, all the green is getting mixed up in the green screen there. But
there's the man right there, Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
So I know we say no free ads, but there is a free one for the FIFA Cups at McDonald's right now.
We're ready to go here. We are ready to go. Can confirm.
Let's do this. Fire it up, Connor.
We've successfully replaced Remo where the stalling between the marble song and actually running marbles.
He would be all over the unboxing of a McDonald's collector cup. All right, slippery slope, 175 in here today, folks. Good luck to all of you, and shout out to Connor for the marbles crash course.
Yeah,
and getting it all done. It looks like we're ready to go. Good luck to everyone. It's Friday. You know what that means? It is marbles time on WST. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.
All right.
Slippery slopes. Had to keep it simple.
The good old slopes. This is a good one, too. I think it'll be a little bit easier to follow.
If I see any comments about my camera work, you're getting banned.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That is hard. Okay.
Yeah.
Jen Rands, Ishaboy Bruce, Bardo, Dan Jets fan, Sega Sarama in it. Oh, Ishaboy Bruce in first right now. Oh, we've got our first elimination. Mike G, 9969. That is tough. All right. Coming down to this funnel here. Before, let's see who's making out first. Ryan Dry and Brad Anderson. Schmeck's time. Lego guy, 6377 in the mix. But it is still, I believe, Ryan Dry in first. And this is a key place to not get too far behind, although the uniqueness of the skis in the slippery slopes always can confuse things. By the way, this is funny. I'll just say this as we do it. A couple weeks ago, some friends of mine one of my friend had it up and they were listening to the program, but they were doing some other things. So they had it up on YouTube. They were listening to the audio, and his wife was not familiar with marbles and basically was listening to this point where I'm just calling out all these names and talking about, they were like, what the hell was going on at the end of the show? I'm like, come on, it's the marble race.
It's the marble race. Come on.
Complete blank look.
Like I said at the start of the show, Remus is giving me instructions to run the show. The most stressful or like toughest part is the marbles. That was the most instructions that I got was you got to do this. Here's how you get the names. Like
little bit of carnage here right now as everybody gets bunched up on the skis. Oh, Amanda S420. Sorry, Amanda, not a great start to the weekend. Amy Weeb, XX Revolution, also eliminated. And look at this, Northside Sandwich and ESTer right now in first place. I know there was a comment that with
am I going to click the no AST button? Yeah,
it could be. But Northside Sandwich has now gone back a little bit. Gordo, Brad Anderson, Ryan Dry, Mike Ladarney. Everyone's in the mix. Who's going to get up off the scoot first, and will they get in? It is Gordo. No, he missed. Mike Ladarney, will they hit the target?
Boom.
Yes. A venomous strike from Mike Ladarney after the wide open net had been missed. Mike Ladarney, the winner today. Our top 10, Bardo, Ryan Dry, Ben Tam, D2065. Al Broderick, what's up, Al? We were just talking about you yesterday, actually. Al, I hope to see you at the Goldeye game on the 30th. Al Broderick, number 6, nicely done. The Murder Birds, 7, Winnipeg Puck, 5508. No Frills Dino and Gin Intelligence, our top 10. We're just finishing up. Oh, we haven't even had the fire yet.
No.
A couple of the real Spency is sure
lagging behind here. Yeah.
What's going on, Spency? Get a move on. All right, there we go. And here comes Mr. V-Dub. Oh, Mr. V-Dub and Spency. I don't know. That's weird.
Maybe we
didn't see the fire.
Yeah.
But they got burned. Mike Ladarney, congratulations. Big win for Mike. We had our top 10. If you want to just roll down, and we'll see what there's Schickster, top 20 performance. The Derminator, shout out to the Chuds guys. Don't forget, you want to try those Kobe bikes tomorrow. They're there. There's Bozeman, 30th place. Got me. Hope your golf outing with Roscoe is going well, dude. There's Duck Dad, Father Mallard himself. Daryl M. There's Phyllis. Who else do we have here? Jay Miller. T. Will mixing it up in the chat room as always. 84th. Well, so I did finish right at the end.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough to win my head-to-head battle against the rest of the fellas. And there's everyone else that did not fare as well as everyone that finished it up. Connor, what's going on for the weekend?
Well, now that the marble race was complete with no issues, I'm going to go celebrate. Like, that was incredible. Nice.
Straight to the wood.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I hoping that, the Jays, I saw some people in chat. Gosman got absolutely shelled today in the first 2 innings. So they were down like 7-0 top 2, which was not great. I'm sure the game is still going or they've officially lost. But
they're
watching
already playing so early on a Friday?
11-2. Yeah, the Cubs do the Friday afternoon games. That's a thing. But yeah, they're down 11-2 in the 6th. So hoping to watch some Jays baseball and have it not be a blowout. Sea Bears game tomorrow, 3:00. Hoping to see Xavier Moon, 3-time CEBL MVP. That'll be fun. And then Father's Day Sunday. Got a lot of plans for that as well. So shout out to everyone. Happy Father's Day. Have a great weekend.
Yes, thank you. Big happy Father's Day to my dad, who also just had a birthday last week. So a shout out to him. and shout out to all of you that are dads, as Feinberg says, below average dads, average dad. This is your day. Don't feel bad taking some time away to plop down on the couch for the back nine of the U.S. Open.
U.S. Open, yeah.
And oh, by the way, you mentioned the Sea Bears. I know we had so much going on with the Toews retirement.
Yeah.
They absolutely pumped the Bandits last night.
Yeah.
114-81. Huge win. We talked yesterday on the program with Slattery a couple days ago how important this game was in the West. And the X-Man, Xavier Moon's in town. Sea Bears won running away, more than 30-point victory. And they'll look to keep it going tomorrow against the Stingers, who are 3-6. And man, nice start for Mike Rainbow in his first year as the head coach of the Sea Bears.
Yeah.
And it was great to see. I got a sweet Sea Bears shirt and hat I'll wear next week once I'm not rocking the Canada gear for our team. Connor, what can I say? You continue to come through, kill it for us on WST. But maybe in addition to all the great videos and being on the show and everything, this was the test.
This was it.
This was the test. And I will say you passed with flying colors.
There we go. Yes. Always a pleasure to join you, Huss. Usually when it's me and you, we have other people doing the show, me running it today for the first time. Glad everything went smoothly. But yeah, Remus can do this again. He can come back. This was a lot.
Well, listen, I mean, in all seriousness, though, big week coming up next week. I mean, Hellebuck Watch
draft
is in full effect. And the Jets are picking 8th on Friday night. We expect more player moves, trades.
I should say, thanks for reminding me. My draft targets video is on the channel right now. So we posted it this morning. I talked about 5 players the Winnipeg Jets might be eyeing with that 8th overall pick, kind of in that range, looking at some mocks, looking at the players' strengths and weaknesses. So as soon as the show ends here, draft targets video on the Winnipeg Sports Talk channel.
Immediately to the YouTube channel, everybody. Connor's got some more great stuff waiting for you on the channel right now. Connor, have yourself a great weekend.
You too.
Shout out to all you dads. Have a great Sunday and a great weekend. In the meantime, enjoy the World Cup, Jays, tons of CFL on the weekend, and of course, the U.S. Open. That is going to do it for us. Big thanks to all of our sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Thanks to Asa Rehman, Murat, Ben, of course, Ben Kramer, and the one and only Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. And a huge shout out to Connor for making the marble race happen and being a great co-host for today's show. That's going to do it, folks. We will see you Monday, WST Sunday, live on Sunday with Connor and Liz. Don't miss that, 9 a.m. And we'll be back to wrap up all the weekend and get you ready for draft week in the National Hockey League, Monday at 1 right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Cheers, y'all.
Oh, my God. Oh! Shut it down. Let's go home.
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.